Chapter 364. Tang Bao was stunned and could not help but lower his gaze. Di Haotian was originally hugging Tang Bao sideways. After waking up, he turned over and got up silently. He got up decisively and put on his clothes. After putting on his clothes, his face was cold from the beginning to the end. Di Haotian turned around and looked coldly at Tang Bao, who was sitting on the bed. He said, "I was drunk last night." After saying that, he left. Tang Bao looked at the door that he closed casually. His eyes were filled with tears of pain. Because he was drunk, he did not know who was on the bed? But you were drunk, and I was not drunk. Tang Bao lowered his head and looked at the bed under him. It was hard for Di Haotian to sleep on such a shabby bed for a night. When he woke up, he must have been as disappointed as when he saw her on the bed. Tang Bao walked into the bathroom and saw himself in the mirror. He wanted to cry but had no tears. If Wan Malay saw this, he would find it strange, right? Di Haotian was so heartless to her. How could he still treat her like this? Being touched by Di Haotian, who was drunk and had bad eyesight, she did not know if she should pity her. In the end, Tang Bao found a turtleneck sweater that he used to keep at home. After arriving at the company, Wan Malay saw Tang Bao coming in and asked, "Why are you wearing a turtleneck sweater? Is there a problem?" Tang Bao adjusted his collar a little guiltily. He was afraid of being seen. "Of course there's a problem. You didn't wear turtlenecks in the past. You said that turtlenecks were uncomfortable. Besides, you stayed in the office with the heater on. Won't you feel hot later?" Wan Malay asked. "I didn't like it before, but it doesn't mean that I don't like it now. Besides, I just recovered from a cold. I'm afraid that it will relapse, so I need to consolidate it." Nonsense. Wan Malay would be a fool to believe her. But he could not think of anything else. He just assumed that Tang Bao had suddenly gone crazy. "By the way, can you accompany me to buy a bucket for soaking my feet in the afternoon?" Wan Malay asked. Sure. Tang Bao was in a bad mood yesterday, so the two of them did not think of buying it. He would definitely accompany her today. "Okay, since you accompanied me to buy a foot-soaking bucket, I'll treat you to lunch." "A feast?" "All right, whatever you say," Wan Malay said generously. At noon, the two of them went to the shopping mall to look at the foot-soaking buckets after lunch. She looked at several brands, but none of them were the ones that Di Haotian brought to his office. Because it was almost the new year, the shopping mall was filled with a festive atmosphere. Wan Malay looked at Tang Bao, who did not react. He wondered if Di Haotian would reconcile with Tang Bao during the new year. Looking at the situation now, it was really worrying. If the two of them were not good at that time, wouldn't he be alone during the Lunar New Year in the Tang Bao? No. If the two of them were still like this, she would bring Tang Bao back to her house for the new year. Anyway, her parents liked Tang Bao very much. They always asked Tang Bao why he went to her house to play when he was studying and why he did not go now. "Why are you looking at me?" "Looking at the bucket," Tang Bao asked. "I'm thinking. Do you want to change your phone?" "Change what?" "Just use it like this. There are not many people on it anyway." He was the boss of a company, but his phone was quiet as if it was broken. It was really 1 in a million. Wan Malay did not dare to mention the new year, afraid that Tang Bao would be sad now. Just thinking about it made her hate Di Haotian. She also hated herself. She knew the secret in her heart but could not say it. Was it painful? She wanted to tell the truth even in her dreams. Under the recommendation of the shopping guide, they bought a foot-soaking bucket. It was fully automatic. When Wan Malay was about to pay, Tang Bao stopped her. "What are you doing? Let's shop for a while first and then come back to get it." Tang Bao turned and asked the shopping guide, "Can we? Help us carry it first. We'll come back to get it after we're done shopping." "Okay." Wan Malay thought about it and agreed. It was really tiring to carry such a heavy thing while shopping. The two of them went to buy drinks as if they were not full. They drank while shopping, looking at clothes and gold and silver jewelry that girls like. "Oh, I drank too much. I need to go to the toilet," Tang Bao said. You just drank a few mouthfuls and you want to go to the toilet? Wait for me in this shop. I'll be back soon. Help me hold this. Tang Bao put the drink in her hand. Wan Malay was holding 2 bottles of drinks in her hand. She could not follow him to the toilet. She could only stroll in the clothing shop and wait. Tang Bao, of course, did not go to the toilet. Instead, he ran to the place where he bought the foot-soaking bucket and paid for it. She just paid for it. She would come back to get the foot-soaking bucket after shopping. After paying, she went to find Wan Malay. Oh, who's this? What a coincidence! Tang Bao was stunned. He looked indifferently at Lan Wanru, who was walking towards him. You're shopping too? What a coincidence! Brother Haotian is also here to accompany me shopping, Lan Wanru said shyly. Tang Bao was stunned for a moment and looked away. Don't look. Brother Haotian went to the toilet. He'll be back soon. When you see him, don't be too sad, Lan Wanru said proudly. Seducing a married man. You seem to be very proud as a third party? Tang Bao suppressed the bitterness in his heart and asked. Lan Wanru's expression changed. He said unwillingly, Who's the third party? How long have I known Brother Haotian? How long have you known him? You're the third party who ruined other people's relationship. Also, did you go to the birthday party yesterday? You didn't even go. How can you call the D family's daughter-in-law Brother Haotian's wife? You're just there for show. Do you really think that Brother Haotian will take you seriously? He's played with you enough. There's no novelty anymore. Tang Bao raised his hand and slapped him. Ah! Following a loud and clear sound, Lan Wanru cried out in pain. He covered his face and asked in disbelief, You dare to hit me? Tang Bao sneered, Don't talk about hitting you. I'll even hit Di Haotian. Who do you think you are? I don't even know that third parties are calculated by how long they've known each other. Let me tell you, even if Di Haotian doesn't have feelings for me, I won't agree to a divorce. I'll always be his wife. Is there any meaning in hogging a man who doesn't love you? Lan Wanru asked sarcastically. Why not? At least he can't marry you. You. Lan Wanru was so angry that his face turned white. Wan Malay, who had been waiting for a long time, pushed through the crowd and saw Lan Wanru. He knew what was going on. Why is this sickly person here? Wan Malay asked. Lan Wanru was the most angry when people called him a sickly person. He was so angry that he trembled. Who are you calling a sickly person? I'm talking about you. What's wrong? Wan Malay pulled Tang Bao over. Let's go. If you quarrel with a sickly person, others will think that you're bullying the weak. Then, Tang Bao was pulled away by Wan Malay. Lan Wanru, who was left behind, was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Chapter 365. Tang Bao and Wan Malay weren't in the mood to shop anymore. Most importantly, there were people in the mall that Tang Bao didn't want to see. So, they took the foot-soaking bucket and left the mall. Tang Bao was silent along the way. I'll give you the money when we get back to the office, Wan Malay said. Take it as my filial piety to your parents, Tang Bao said. If I knew that you went to the washroom to pay, I definitely wouldn't have let you go. I don't have parents. Just take it as giving me a chance, Tang Bao said. Wan Malay looked at Tang Bao's expression and asked, Tang Bao, did you suffer a loss? She looked at Tang Bao from head to toe. Other than a change in her mood, there were no other signs of injury. Do you think Di Haotian is shopping with Lan Wanru? Tang Bao looked ahead and asked. What, young master? Wan Malay wanted to turn around, but she had already walked out of the mall and couldn't see anything. I didn't see young master just now. Lan Wanru said that Di Haotian was in the washroom, and then she happened to bump into me. Wan Malay looked at Tang Bao's expressionless face and knew that her heart must be hurting. You believe Lan Wanru's words? I think she's just bragging. Tang Bao didn't say anything. It wasn't that she wanted to believe Lan Wanru. It was that she didn't believe Di Haotian. The coldness that came out of her bed today was still fresh in her memory. It was as if the person on the bed was her and not Lan Wanru. She disappointed him. Haotian, if you protected me a little, I wouldn't be so sad. But I don't dare to have any more extravagant hopes. Wan Malay asked if she had suffered a loss. In the eyes of others, she had won. In fact, she had lost completely. Wanru, what happened? When Liu Huai rushed over, the crowd had just dispersed. I just went to the washroom. When I came back, I couldn't find you. What are you doing here? What happened to your face? Liu Huai saw that one side of Lan Wanru's face was pale, while the other side was obviously red. Lan Wanru's tears fell as he said, I bumped into Tang Bao. We barely exchanged a few words before she attacked me. What? Wasn't she a little too bold? How dare he attack you? Lan Wanru wiped his tears and said, Maybe it's because of Brother Haotian. Tell me, why did Haotian marry such a narrow-minded person? I can't even compare to you. Don't worry, Auntie will help you settle this matter. Liu Huai's decision was to go straight to the bungalow to complain. Sister-in-law, tell me, this is too much of a bully. How can there be such an arrogant girl? She has no upbringing at all. When I found Wanru, she was crying. If I didn't force her, she wouldn't have said anything. What's the use of not saying anything? My heart aches when I see such a big bite mark on her face. Liu Huai sighed. Yu Songhuan didn't like Liu Huai's style, but she didn't expect that Tang Bao still wouldn't let go. Is Wanru okay now? Her mood has stabilized. Her body is fine. It's strange, but ever since she interacted more with Haotian, her body has become much better. She must be treating her illness. Liu Huai smiled. Yu Songhuan didn't say anything. However, on her birthday, Lan Wanru's complexion was indeed much better. She also didn't want Lan Wanru to be in poor health. If she married Haotian, she still hoped to hold a grandson soon. Liu Huai left after complaining. Wang Sa said, Is this true? Did young madam really hit Miss Lan in public? It can't be fake. This kind of lie can be easily exposed. Then young madam is really bold? It's not a day or two that she's bold. She has a husband, but she still has an ambiguous relationship with her husband's younger brother. How many women can do this? This kind of person can't stay by Haotian's side. After work, Tang Bao asked the driver to send her and Wan Malay to Wan Malay's rented apartment. After arriving, she didn't want to leave. I haven't been here in a long time. I'm going to stay here tonight. I'll ask the driver to go back first. Tang Bao took out her phone and didn't move. Wan Malay saw her strange expression and asked, What's wrong? What's wrong? The phone screen was broken and couldn't be seen clearly. I'd better go down and tell him personally to pick me up tomorrow morning. Tang Bao stood up and went out. Wan Malay took the vegetables she bought back to the kitchen to wash. Dinner hadn't been cooked yet. The two of them had to eat at night. Anyway, don't count on Tang Bao. It was fine as long as she didn't cause trouble. After Tang Bao ran to the entrance of the neighborhood and talked to the driver drove away. When Tang Bao was about to turn around and enter the neighborhood, she saw a familiar car opposite. Her expression changed. The car opposite drove over. It stopped in front of Tang Bao and the window rolled down, revealing Yu Songhuan's face. In a coffee shop not far away, Tang Bao and Yu Songhuan sat opposite each other. How are you? Yu Songhuan asked. Tang Bao knew she was asking about the miscarriage, so she said expressionlessly, Thank you for your concern. I'm fine. Do you hate me? Yu Songhuan asked. Tang Bao didn't say anything and looked away. I did say that I would accept you after that thing was done. But I didn't expect Haotian, who has always been good to you, to not accept you. I tried my best to persuade her. But you know Haotian's temper. She can't even control her mother. Did you come here to tell me this? If so, you didn't have to come here personally, Tang Bao said rudely. Now that things had turned out like this, she couldn't face it calmly. When you and Haotian had a conflict, it was always Wanru who stayed by Haotian's side. When Haotian was at her lowest, only Wanru stayed by her side. Now Haotian has a different attitude toward Wanru than before. I'm thinking that since things have developed to this point, why don't we both let go? Hao Yin doesn't have to be in a difficult position, and you don't have to be in pain. What do you think? Yu Songhuan's words seemed to be negotiating. But if it was really a negotiation, she wouldn't have said it so clearly. Did she mean that if she didn't let go, it would make things difficult for Di Haotian? Did Di Haotian already have feelings for Lan Wanru? And if she wanted to go back to the past, would it be unnecessary to ruin other people's feelings? You want me to take the initiative to divorce Haotian? I'm afraid it won't be as you wish. Tang Bao had a smile on her face, but her heart was torn. What do you mean? Now that things have come to this, you still want to pester Haotian? Do you think there's any meaning in this kind of marriage? I know I was the one who suggested it, but Haotian didn't want it. What can I do? Tell me, what do you want? Money? Money? Is this how you see me? Do you think I lack money? Tang Bao asked. Chapter 366. Even Yu Songhuan was so rich, not to mention Di Haotian. It was impossible to estimate, but it also showed how much Yu Songhuan disliked her. He spent so much money. I'm quite satisfied, but I'm afraid that even if I take your money, you won't get what you want. What do you mean? Because the person who doesn't want a divorce is not me, but your son. Tang Bao's face was cold. Impossible. He's with Wanru now. The words together were like needles piercing Tang Bao's heart. It made her frown unbearably. If you don't believe me, you can ask Di Haotian. Tang Bao stood up and left. As she walked back, Tang Bao looked up at the darkening sky. Her eyes were hot and she couldn't help but close them. Was Di Haotian really together with Lan Wanru? Why didn't he want a divorce? Was it not time yet? Sooner or later. Tang Bao reached out and looked at the diamond ring on her ring finger. The pink diamond was so beautiful, pure, and noble. A drop of tear fell on it, but it was even more beautiful. Tang Bao opened the door and smelled the aroma of food in the house. She suddenly felt hungry. Wan Milei put her hands on her hips and stared at the person who came back. You're back? I'm back. You still know how to come back? Didn't I come back after it was done? Tang Bao looked at the dishes on the table and asked. Wan Milei was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. I didn't ask you to help. Why did you run away? I didn't run away. Tang Bao went to the kitchen to get rice. You didn't run away? Tell the driver where you went? Wan Milei followed him into the kitchen in disbelief. Okay, I deliberately waited for you to come back after you finished cooking. Tang Bao scooped rice and gave it to Wan Milei. Wan Milei. Tang Bao ate a bowl of rice and went to get another bowl. Wan Milei thought it was a good thing she burned more. Otherwise, it wouldn't be enough for her. You have a good appetite? Wan Milei asked. Yes, I was angry. Isn't it because you're full of anger that you can't eat anymore? Wan Milei thought for a moment and said, That's not right. I didn't make you angry, did I? I went out just now and happened to run into Yu Songhuan. Tang Bao sighed and told him the truth. Anyway, Wan Milei knew everything. If he didn't tell her, who else could he tell? Here? Just right? I just happened to run into him. Yu Songhuan didn't. She came here specifically to look for me. Tang Bao's expression had returned to normal. Why is she looking for you? He said he would give me money to divorce Di Haotian. Do you want it? Wan Milei looked at her cautiously and asked tentatively. How did you know? I think it's your style. I really want it, but it's useless even if I want it. I can't make the decision for a divorce. Wan Milei thought for a moment and asked, How much did he want to give you? She said she could buy a few of my company. Damn, this old witch is rich. Tang Bao looked at her. What are you looking at? She's an old witch. She's so evil. You're not going to speak up for her after she treated you like this, are you? I respect the old and love the young. Respect my ass. Tang Bao. At night, Tang Bao stayed after dinner. He and Wan Milei squeezed into the same bed. Wan Milei went back to the room after taking a shower and saw Tang Bao asleep. He's really heartless. However, after Wan Malay said that, she felt bad when she saw Tang Bao like this. He looked like a homeless and pitiful person. In the morning, in the company's office, Tang Bao was sitting at his desk in front of the computer in a daze. Wan Malay was working hard next to the glass door. There was a knock on the door. There were very few people knocking on Tang Bao's office. Tang Bao was stunned for a moment. Then, Zhou Jisen came in. In fact, every time Tang Bao saw Zhou Jisen, he felt a little nervous. He was afraid that Zhou Jisen would say, "President Tang, I want to resign." If that was really the case, it would be Di Haotian's order. He wanted to remove the elites he had arranged in the company. "What's the matter?" Tang Bao suppressed his nervousness and asked. "President Tang, it's about the company's New Year's reception," Zhou Jisen said. Tang Bao breathed a sigh of relief and relaxed his body at the same time. "I'll leave this matter to you." The New Year's reception was always held in advance so that it wouldn't delay other people's New Year. This year's reception is different from previous years. How is it different? It's up to you. You can do whatever you want. Okay. Zhou Jisen didn't say anything. Then, he left. Wan Malay walked over and asked, "Aren't you going to ask what's different? Isn't it just a reception? What's different about it? When my dad was around, I attended it every year. But this year, I don't want to attend it at all," Tang Bao said listlessly. "You're the boss. It doesn't make sense if you don't attend." "I'm just thinking about it." Tang Bao was a little lost in thought. When he came back to his senses, he pulled Wan Malay, who was about to go back to work, and asked, "Do you think I should pull myself together and work hard?" "What do you mean? I don't understand. What if Di Haotian and I really get to that stage? Then Di Haotian will withdraw all his elite. What will I do then? So, should I start learning now so that I won't be completely clueless when the time comes?" Tang Bao asked worriedly. "Will you?" Wan Malay asked uncertainly. "Why not? Those who know Di Haotian know what kind of ruthless person he is. He withdrew just like that." Tang Bao and Di Haotian had been together for so long that she was afraid. Not to mention the two of them saying goodbye. Wan Malay thought for a moment and said, "How about this? Think of a way to poach Zhou Jisen?" "This. Will it work?" Tang Bao was doubtful. "Why not?" "I'm not as rich as Di Haotian," Tang Bao said. "You're not as rich as young Master Di, but as long as you have the heart, it's more reliable than money. Take me for example. If someone offered me an annual salary of 10 million to leave you, I wouldn't be willing," Wan Malay said. Tang Bao thought, "This seems to work." "This is much more effective than you learning now," Wan Malay said. Tang Bao frowned and looked at her. "What do you mean? Are you saying that I'm stupid? Am I such a person? Tell me, if you start learning now, will it be too late? Won't it be easier to poach Zhou Jisen? You can also start learning while poaching Zhou Jisen." In the end, Tang Bao felt that Wan Malay's idea was not bad. Zhou Jisen returned to the office after lunch. He had the habit of taking lunch breaks. The office came with a lounge. At this time, no one would disturb him. When he entered the lounge, he took off his suit and changed into his pajamas. As soon as he lay down, he heard movement outside. "Vice President Zhou, are you there?" Zhou Jisen was stunned. He put on his glasses. He got out of bed. He looked at his pajamas. Chapter 367. "Vice President Zhou, are you in?" Zhou Jisen did not even have time to put on his tie and open the door. Tang Bao was slightly stunned. "Vice President Zhou, you're taking a nap so soon?" Zhou Jisen pushed his glasses and saw the fruit plate Tang Bao was holding. There were all kinds of fruits on it and they were all peeled. He asked, "President Tang, this is?" "Oh, this. I thought that you just finished eating, so I brought you some fruit. Didn't you say that eating some fruits after meals is good for the body?" Tang Bao smiled. Zhou Jisen did not react to this sudden kindness for a moment. Tang Bao put the fruit plate on the coffee table and said to the stunned Zhou Jisen, "Come over and try it." Zhou Jisen was completely confused by Tang Bao's behavior. Seeing that Tang Bao sat down and had no intention of leaving, he walked over and sat down. Tang Bao urged again. Zhou Jisen glanced at the fruit and asked, "President Tang, do you have something to say?" Tang Bao shook his head innocently. "No. It's not working hours now. What can I talk to you about? We're friends. Can't I come to talk to you?" "Okay." Zhou Jisen was a little confused. Friends? When did he become friends with Tang Bao? He felt that it was very strange. He could not figure out what Tang Bao wanted to do. Zhou Jisen took a bite of the fruit with a toothpick. "Is it good?" Tang Bao asked. Zhou Jisen nodded. "It's good." Tang Bao beamed. "That's good." Zhou Jisen sat there and was watched by Tang Bao as he ate the fruit. Zhou Jisen had never experienced such a strange atmosphere in his life. After eating a few pieces, Zhou Jisen said, "It's not good to eat too much fruit after meals." "That's true. You can eat it in the afternoon while you work." Zhou Jisen wanted to say that he did not eat when he worked, but he could only say perfunctorily, "Okay." Tang Bao stopped talking and stared at Zhou Jisen. Zhou Jisen felt uncomfortable being stared at. He had never felt like he was being stared at like this. "President Tang, is there anything else?" "Ah yes. I'll treat you to a meal after work," Tang Bao said. "You're treating me?" Zhou Jisen had never had a meal with Tang Bao since he came to the company. There had to be a reason for suddenly inviting him out for a meal, right? "Yes, please." "No one else." "What other people?" "Just the two of us." Tang Bao thought to himself, "There are so many people sent by Di Haotian. As long as I can capture you, everything will be fine." "Who asked you to be so capable?" Is there a problem?" "I just don't know why President Tang changed so strangely today." Zhou Jisen wanted to say that he was passionate. "Don't use this word carelessly. What's wrong with treating you to a meal? Think about it, when you came to my company, I didn't even treat you to a meal. Wasn't this too outrageous? Wasn't he being too stingy? Other companies were not like this. If other companies knew that I was such a person, wouldn't I be laughed at when I walked out in the future? So, I think that I have to build a good relationship with Vice President Zhou in the future. But I might not have time. I'll get off work very late and have a lot of work to do." "Is that so?" Tang Bao touched his chin. "I understand." After saying that, she stood up and left. When she returned to the office, she pulled Wan Malay and said, "Let's get off work early and go shopping. Then, you can go back and cook a few home-cooked dishes." "What's wrong?" "Vice President Zhou has to work overtime. He definitely won't have time to eat, so it's time to need you." Wan Malay regretted giving President Tang this idea. This week, Zhou Jisen basically worked very late every day like a bachelor. Sometimes, he even slept in the company. If she did not take Zhou Jisen down that day, wouldn't she have to cook for Zhou Jisen every day? But it was too late to regret. If she did not do it, Tang Bao would not let her off. At night, the lights in Zhou Jisen's office were on. It was already past 6 o'clock, but he had no intention of leaving. The door of the office was pushed open. Zhou Jisen looked up and saw Tang Bao sticking his head in. "Vice President Zhou." "Zhou Jisen." Tang Bao pushed the door open and walked in. He asked, "Vice President Zhou, you haven't eaten yet, right?" "Not yet." "President Tang, you haven't gone back yet?" Zhou Jisen was afraid that Tang Bao would treat him to a meal, so he immediately said, "I haven't finished my work yet. It'll be very late. I know you're busy with work and don't have time to eat, so I brought you dinner." Tang Bao took out a thermos from behind him. "Look, this is the dinner I brought for you." He turned around and placed it on the coffee table. Zhou Jisen walked over and watched as Tang Bao took out the food from the thermos. It was still hot. "Eat, I've already eaten." Tang Bao looked at Zhou Jisen with a smile. Zhou Jisen's stomach was indeed empty now. Moreover, the home-cooked dishes looked very good and were very appetizing. It was almost like providing charcoal in snowy weather. However, Zhou Jisen also knew very well that he could not eat the food sent by Tang Bao. Not only could he not eat it, but Tang Bao's behavior also made him want to avoid it. Because of the person above. President Tang, I'm not hungry. How can you not be hungry? It's already past 6 o'clock. After Tang Bao finished speaking, he lowered his voice and said, Are you afraid that others will know? Don't worry, as long as you don't say it, no one will know. Zhou Jisen thought to himself, a lot of people will know if you come in with a thermos, even if it's after work now. What do you mean? If I don't eat, I'll be very sad. You have to know that I worked hard to make this for you. Tang Bao sat on the sofa and said pitifully, President Tang made this? Zhou Jisen asked in surprise. Yes. Tang Bao nodded shamelessly. Zhou Jisen did not dare to eat it even more. He felt a slight headache. Actually, it's okay if you don't eat it, Tang Bao suddenly said. Zhou Jisen looked at him. I'll bring it to you every day until you're willing to eat my cooking. Tang Bao's words sounded like a threat, but his girlish little face was pitiful and aggrieved, as if he was bullied by Zhou Jisen. Zhou Jisen felt that this was more of a headache than dealing with the most difficult legal case. Eating Tang Bao's cooking, this relationship was hard to explain. He did not believe that Tang Bao suddenly liked him. Actually, I know why you don't dare to eat it. It's because of Di Haotian, right? You don't have to be afraid of him. It's just a meal, what can happen? Besides, you're working in my company now. Why are you afraid of him? I don't think Di Haotian is a big deal. On the contrary, in my eyes, you're much better than him. Tang Bao flattered. President Tang, you flatter me. No one can compare to the young emperor. Don't be so self-abased. What I said is true. You're like this because you can't see your own good and lack confidence. Chapter 368. Tang Bao looked at Zhou Jisen's indifference. She bit her lip and said pitifully, Even if you don't eat, I've already sent the food to your office. Others will think that you've eaten. Vice President Zhou, why don't you eat? Zhou Jisen looked at Tang Bao for a while, then sat down and said, President Tang, I can eat, but can you tell me why? Tang Bao thought for a while and asked, Vice President Zhou, how much does Di Haotian pay you a year? Zhou Jisen was stunned. Why did he ask this? The young master gave me T's shares, Zhou Jisen said honestly, then looked at Tang Bao strangely. President Tang, you don't know? Tang Bao opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Zhou Jisen nodded in understanding. Well, Tang Bao didn't have the heart to care about this at all. She was really different. If it were other wives, they would have already figured out these things clearly, even if they didn't get anything. Just as she was thinking, she saw Tang Bao stand up and leave without a word. Zhou Jisen breathed a sigh of relief, but when she saw the dinner on the coffee table, her brows furrowed again. Tang Bao returned to the office, where Wan Malay was waiting for her. How was it? Was it done? Did Vice President Zhou say that the food was delicious? What's delicious? He hasn't eaten. He's so smart. Also, do you know how much Di Haotian pays him a year? How much? Wan Malay asked. Di Haotian gave Zhou Jisen T's shares. Tang Bao had a headache. Wan Malay was shocked and dumbfounded. No matter how ignorant they were, they knew that even 0.1% of T's shares was equivalent to an awesome listed company. Who wouldn't want such treatment? With so much money, it was normal to have no conscience. Therefore, she felt that Tang Bao had already failed in bribing them. No wonder you don't want to be a lawyer and want to be the vice president of our company, Wan Malay said and looked at Tang Bao. Thinking about it, the young master actually went to such an extent for the sake of the Tang Bao. Initially, she wanted to say this to Tang Bao, but when she thought about the conflict between Tang Bao and the young master, she didn't say anything. After saying that, the Tang Bao felt uncomfortable in his heart. She had to worry about the young master again. Then what should we do now? Tang Bao had a headache. Why don't we just let it go? You should learn it yourself. Wan Milei previously felt that it would be easier to poach Zhou Jisen than to let Tang Bao learn. Now, he felt that it would be even more difficult to poach Zhou Jisen. Tang Bao was sitting in his office, feeling dispirited. When she thought about how she was going to start learning things from the company, she felt that it might be a little difficult for a bad student like herself. Moreover, Tang Bao felt that it would be more difficult than in school, right? Tang Bao dawdled in the office for almost an hour before he finally slammed the table and stood up. I don't believe this. So what if it's T's shares? Who doesn't have shares in the company? I'll give half of my company's shares to Zhou Jisen. Wan Milei was shocked by Tang Bao's sudden slamming of the table. When she heard Tang Bao's words, her expression changed. Give half? That's not enough for T's shares? You don't understand this. For example, it's not strange for me to give you 990,000 yuan if I have 1,000,000 yuan, but I only have 1 yuan and I still have to give you 90 cents. This is my sincerity. I'll go look for Zhou Jisen. After Tang Bao finished speaking, he left the office. Wan Milei didn't even have the time to call out. She wanted to say that she preferred the 990,000 yuan share. Any normal person would like it, right? Tang Bao walked to the door of Zhou Jisen's office. Without knocking, he opened the door directly. Zhou Jisen, let me tell you. Before Tang Bao could finish his sentence, he froze on the spot. He stared blankly at Di Haotian, who was sitting on the sofa. His long legs were crossed and he looked at him with a profound aura. Just as Tang Bao stood there as if he had been struck by lightning, Zhou Jisen acted as if he didn't notice the abnormality in the atmosphere. With an elite smile on his face, he greeted, President Tang? President Tang, my ass. Tang Bao came back to his senses and turned to leave. The office door closed behind him. Tang Bao was stunned and didn't leave. His brain still couldn't wrap itself around the situation. Why was Di Haotian here? Could it be that he was hallucinating? How could it be a hallucination? Zhou Jisen's expression just now explained everything. Also, why did he run away? This was her company. It wasn't Di Haotian's. Seriously, she was shocked by Di Haotian's aura and thought that this was his territory. The more Tang Bao thought about it, the more unconvinced he became. He pushed the office door open again. The person inside looked at him again. Tang Bao suppressed his nervousness and sat down on the sofa. He didn't want others to see his nervousness. When he sat down on the sofa, he crossed his legs. After he crossed his legs, he realized that it was uncomfortable to sit with his legs crossed, so he put his legs down. Zhou Jisen. Di Haotian was expressionless, but his eyes were fixed on Tang Bao's face. Tang Bao cleared his throat and said, Young Master Di, why do you have the time to come to my company? It's really an honor for me to be here. It's good that you know, Di Haotian said indifferently, his dark eyes deep. Tang Bao choked. He cursed in his heart. How thick-skinned. He didn't want to argue with him, so he asked directly, What are you doing here? This is my company. Do you need my permission to come here? Zhou Jisen coughed lightly and stood up. I have a phone call to make. I'll go out for a while. After he said that, he left. Tang Bao and Di Haotian were left in the office, facing each other. Tang Bao wanted to tear Zhou Jisen apart. Did he do it on purpose? Sure enough, with T's shares, his heart was on Di Haotian's side. What did you say just now? I didn't hear you clearly. Di Haotian's slender fingers held an unlit cigarette. He just played with it. He looked calm, but his gaze and oppressive aura made Tang Bao gulp nervously. I said, What are you doing here? Looking for Zhou Jisen? Di Haotian continued to play with the cigarette in his hand and asked, I heard that you delivered food to Zhou Jisen? Why didn't I know that you can cook? Tang Bao cursed Zhou Jisen in his heart. She now understood why Di Haotian would appear here. It was definitely because of Zhou Jisen. He was too sinister. I can't help it. When you live alone, you have to learn a lot of things. I'm not like you. If there's no food at home, there will be a woman to cook for you, Tang Bao said with a sneer. Di Haotian's face turned cold and he looked at her fiercely. Tang Bao felt the air around her suddenly turn cold and her scalp went numb. She didn't want to stay in this dangerous place. She stood up and said, I have something to do. Young Master Di, please go ahead. After saying that, she ran away, leaving Di Haotian sitting there alone. His face was frighteningly gloomy. Tang Bao almost ran away and rushed into the office. Chapter 369. Di Haotian is here. Tang Bao closed the office door, and even used his body to block it. It was as scary as if Di Haotian would barge in. He's in the office? Then I'm leaving. Wan Malay trembled. You're not allowed to leave. Why? Why should I stay here? Don't forget, the young master thought that I was the one who bought the medicine for you to abort the child, so do me a favor and don't let me live under the young master's terrifying gaze? Wan Malay begged pitifully. Then I'll go with you. Can't we leave one after the other? No. Then, Tang Bao and Wan Malay left the office together. They even bypassed Zhou Jisen's office. They ran to the elevator and hurriedly went into the elevator. The two of them sat in the car and left the company before they both let out a sigh of relief. Tang Bao still had to look back to see if Di Haotian had chased after them. Thinking about it, why would Di Haotian chase after her? It wasn't like he didn't have a woman now. If he appeared in the company, he must have something to do with Zhou Jisen. It had nothing to do with her at all. What is the young master doing here? Wan Malay asked. Specially looking for you? No. He's here to look for Zhou Jisen. So, why are we running? Tang Bao asked gloomily. How would Wan Malay know why they were running? Anyway, they just didn't want to meet Di Haotian face to face. The last time Di Haotian glanced at her, Wan Malay had nightmares at night. I won't be able to deliver food in the future. I'll stop. I'd better study hard. Tang Bao leaned his head weakly against the car window, and said in a low voice. It's okay, I'll teach you well. Wan Malay patted her shoulder and comforted her. Tang Bao was speechless. No matter what the purpose of Di Haotian's appearance was, it had already scared Tang Bao away. Not only was Di Haotian domineering, but he was also unreasonable. He was allowed to find women outside, but she was not allowed to. Di Haotian wouldn't allow him to deliver food to Zhou Jisen either. When he saw Zhou Jisen the next day, Tang Bao snorted and glared at Zhou Jisen before walking past him. Zhou Jisen didn't mind and smiled. When he returned to his office, he saw that the thermos had been returned untouched. Then Van Malay took it to be washed. Soon, the day of the company's cocktail party arrived. Tang Bao searched her cloakroom for a long time, but he couldn't find any new clothes. Her new clothes were all in the castle, prepared for her by Di Haotian. In the Tang family, the clothes left behind were the leftovers from before. Tang Bao thought that although these clothes had been worn before, they were not old or torn. They could still be worn. If she had known, she would have listened to Wan Malay and bought them together. She accompanied Wan Malay to buy them, but she was not interested and said that there were new clothes at home. What did she have? There was nothing in the Tang family. When it was almost 5 o'clock, Tang Bao got into the car in a dress and a jacket. When she got out of the car, she saw Wan Malay standing at the gate. She was wearing a long dress with a fishtail and had a good figure. Although she was wearing a jacket, she was still cold in the cold wind. Tang Bao got out of the car and walked over. Why are you standing here? Aren't you cold? I'm waiting for you. You can wait for me inside. Are you stupid? Tang Bao looked at her as if she was an idiot. Don't be so heartless. Do you think I want to stand here and wait for you? You're stupid, but you're still finding excuses for yourself, Tang Bao said. Wan Malay was so angry that smoke almost came out of her. She tried to calm herself down and forced a smile on her face. I'm stupid, okay? Tang Bao, who was walking inside, asked, Are you waiting for me for something? Nothing. Tang Bao looked at her suspiciously. She was waiting at the gate for nothing and still refused to admit that she was stupid. Juan Malay thought to himself, "Don't blame me for not reminding you. You're the one who provoked me." After Tang Bao went in, the doorman beside her took her jacket away. She was still wearing the dress from last winter's cocktail party. It was still fitting, which meant that she did not gain or lose weight. The dress was very ordinary, and her figure was very good. Especially her chest. People could not take their eyes off her at first glance. Tang Bao was wearing the dress from last year, but her father was nowhere to be seen. Tang Bao looked at the banquet. Why did she feel that something was different? The inside was ridiculously grand and much more luxurious than previous years. Every detail was dignified and luxurious, as if it was a supreme banquet. When Tang Bao frowned, she saw Di Haotian in the crowd. She suddenly froze. Why is he here? Tang Bao stuttered and asked Juan Malay beside her. I was waiting for you at the gate. I wanted to tell you something, and you still said that I'm stupid. Juan Malay finally regained her dignity. Who invited him? Tang Bao lowered her voice and roared in her heart. This cocktail party is organized together with tea. There's no invitation. Tang Bao looked around. No wonder it was so luxurious and there were so many people. She was still wondering how Zhou Jisen could waste money like this. Even if it was a different cocktail party, it should not be so different. Who knew that it was organized together with tea? Tang Bao didn't feel good at all. Can I turn around and leave? When you were at the gate just now, you could. But now you can't. Everyone saw you. Juan Malay had just finished speaking when a company leader came to greet her. Juan Malay gave Tang Bao a glass of wine and put it in her hand. Tang Bao immediately smiled awkwardly and talked to the person who came up to her. When she turned around, she saw Di Junbai raising his glass at her and smiling. Tang Bao was stunned for a moment before he smiled back. Well, the Di family would definitely come to Ti's cocktail party. She looked at Di Haotian again and saw the coldness on Di Haotian's face and eyes. Lan Wanru walked to Di Haotian's side and looked like a little bird. Tang Bao turned her eyes away and pretended not to see it. She thought, what AF * ket up cocktail party. While Juan Malay was talking to her colleagues, Tang Bao went to the dining area to look for food. She had not been to Ti's cocktail party before. What was there to eat? Since she was here, she could not be affected by others. Tang Bao walked to the dining area and saw the dazzling array of delicacies that looked like works of art. She almost drooled. But she was still the company's president Tang. She could not wolf down the food in front of outsiders. She put the food on her plate like everyone else and then sat there to eat slowly. When it entered his mouth, Tang Bao's eyes shone with delight. She had never eaten the delicacies here before. Moreover, they looked very expensive. Ti's cocktail party really belonged to the upper class. Others saw that Tang Bao was eating and did not disturb her. As for the opposite sex, they did not dare to come forward. Who did not know that Tang Bao had a close relationship with Ti's leader? Chapter 370. Because no one knew that Di Haotian was already married. Tang Bao didn't care either. At least if she was dumped by Di Haotian one day, she wouldn't think that it was a divorce. No one came to disturb her, but there were still some tactless people. Another plate of delicacies was placed across the table. There was only one piece of food on the plate, and it looked somewhat reserved and cultivated. The food on Tang Bao's plate was many times more than that. Do you mind if I sit here? Lan Wanru sat down. Tang Bao raised her head, swallowed the food in her mouth, and said, I mind. The smile on Lan Wanru's face froze, but she still maintained it. Today is Ti's cocktail party, and it's almost the new year. You don't have to be so hostile towards me. Sorry, I always keep a distance from things I don't like. Lan Wanru felt that she couldn't maintain the smile on her face. If this wasn't Ti's cocktail party, and the Di family's people were here, she wouldn't have to be like this. Tang Bao, I've been living in the castle for so long, and you haven't come back. Are you and Brother Haotian not reconciling? Lan Wanru gave the signal that she had been living in the castle. Tang Bao's expression changed, and she hid the sourness in her heart. She said, "Isn't it better if I don't go back? You'll be the mistress of the castle in the future. I hope you get what you want one day." "Don't worry, I definitely will, and it will be very soon," Lan Wanru said as she ate the food on her plate. It was as if she came here to eat. Tang Bao felt that the food in her mouth was tasteless. She knew that, but when Lan Wanru showed off in front of her, she still felt her heart fluctuate. Could she pretend that nothing happened? But what could she say? What could she do to salvage? "Looks like the delicacies we prepared are very popular?" "Ah." A satisfied voice came from behind her. Tang Bao turned around and saw Di Lingyue, Li Yuhuai, and Di Haotian, who was expressionless. She stood up and greeted Di Lingyue and his wife, second uncle, second aunt. Even though she and Di Haotian were not on good terms now, they were not legally divorced yet, so she still had to call him that. "Tang Bao, I haven't seen you in a long time. When are you going to visit your second aunt?" Li Yuhuai said enthusiastically. "Yes, I'll definitely go," Tang Bao said perfunctorily. Li Yuhuai then looked at Lan Wanru and said, "You didn't like to eat these things before, but it seems that the food prepared this time has whetted your appetite." Lan Wanru shyly looked at Di Haotian. "Thank you, Brother Haotian." When the Tang Bao heard this, he immediately felt the delicious food in his stomach turn sour. He wanted to vomit it out immediately. It seemed that Di Haotian had prepared it for Lan Wanru. Why was she eating so enthusiastically for no reason? "You guys have a good chat, I'll go first." Tang Bao smiled, walked past Di Haotian, and left. Wan Malay walked over. Seeing that Tang Bao did not look too good, he asked, "What's wrong? What can it be? I can't talk to them." Tang Bao stopped and handed him a drink. Tang Bao looked up and was stunned. Di Junbai had a gentle smile on his face. "I see that you've been eating, so drink something to moisten your body." Wan Malay looked at the gentle and elegant Di Junbai and thought, "Do all women like this kind of man? He's too considerate." "Thank you." Tang Bao took the drink, raised his head, and drank it all. Wan Malay was speechless. "Can't he be more reserved?" Di Junbai looked at Tang Bao and chuckled. He took the empty glass and passed it to the waiter beside him. He asked, "Do you still want to drink?" "No." Tang Bao shook his head. Di Junbai looked around and said, "Today's cocktail party is different from previous years. I didn't expect to be with your company." "I didn't expect it either." Tang Bao's face was full of dissatisfaction. She felt that she had been tricked by Zhou Jisen. "My colleagues are calling me. I'll go over for a while," Wan Malay said and left. Tang Bao looked over. Where was her colleague? "Actually, you can leave after showing your face," Di Junbai said. "Ah, really?" Tang Bao was surprised. "Is that okay?" "Of course it's okay. I'll be leaving later too," Di Junbai said with a smile. Tang Bao looked at Di Junbai's expression. He knew that he must have seen his embarrassment and discomfort, so he said that. Tang Bao was touched. However, he could only pretend that he did not know his good intentions. Who asked her to be a married woman now? Moreover, Di Haotian's possessiveness was extremely terrifying. Tang Bao was still afraid and did not dare to disobey. When he turned his head, he met a pair of deep and stern eyes. Tang Bao's little heart was shocked. He turned around and said to Di Junbai, "I'm going to look for Malay." "Okay." Di Junbai saw Tang Bao turn around and leave. He came back to his senses and saw Di Haotian, who was as cold as frost. There was only calmness on his face and nothing else. Tang Bao walked to Wan Malay, who was drinking in the corner, and took a drink from the table. He always felt that he had a guilty conscience. What was there to feel guilty about? Di Haotian was worse than her, wasn't he? In the end, Di Haotian was too domineering and could not be disobeyed. "Are you giving Di Junbai and me a chance?" Tang Bao asked. "No way. Isn't it inconvenient for you to talk if I'm not there?" Wan Malay said. Besides, there are so many people at the cocktail party. What's wrong with you and Di Junbai standing together and talking? Isn't it normal? Tang Bao sighed deeply in his heart. It was normal for others, but not for Di Haotian. As long as Di Haotian was unhappy, no matter how normal it would become abnormal. Do you like the cocktail party? Tang Bao asked. Yes, I do. Tea's cocktail party, I feel like I'm dreaming. Tang Bao nodded. He put down the cup in his hand and said, I'm going to the bathroom. Wan Malay wanted to follow, but was stopped by his colleagues. Tang Bao went to the bathroom alone. The bathrooms were separated into men's and women's bathrooms. When Tang Bao was about to go to the women's bathroom, a strong force pulled him directly into the men's bathroom, pushed him into the cubicle, and slammed the door. Tang Bao came back to his senses and looked at Di Haotian, who was standing in front of him with his shadow covering her, in astonishment. What are you doing? Are you having fun talking to Di Junbai? Di Haotian's face was cold, and his aura was dangerous. Can't you be more reasonable? We're not strangers. Can't we talk when we see each other? I can't talk. Tang Bao didn't want to argue with him. He just wanted to leave this place, but he was suppressed by Di Haotian. Di Haotian, what are you doing? Tang Bao struggled but couldn't break free. He could only ask angrily. This is the men's bathroom. Can you let me out? Where are you going? Looking for Di Junbai? Yes, I'm going to look for Di Junbai. You go look for Lan Wanru. Let's not care about each other, okay? Chapter 371. Let go of me. Tang Bao was so angry that she wanted to break free from Di Haotian's big hand. However, the more she tried to break free, the stronger Di Haotian's hand became. She couldn't do it. Di Haotian questioned. No. Tang Bao stomped her feet on the ground anxiously, tears in her eyes. He must be crazy. Tang Bao took his child without his permission and betrayed him, but he made so much food for her at the banquet. How could he calm down when she turned around and talked to Di Junbai? He couldn't wait to ruin everything here. He wanted to let her know what the consequences of talking to another man were. Tang Bao was so angry that her whole body trembled, but her tears couldn't stop rolling down. Tang Bao took the opportunity to push him away forcefully. She didn't even look at Di Haotian, pushed open the door of the isolation room, and ran out. However, as soon as the door opened, she saw Di Junbai walking into the washroom. Di Junbai looked at the embarrassed Tang Bao and was stunned. Tang Bao wiped the tears on her face and ran away with her head lowered. Di Haotian walked out of the cubicle, glanced coldly at Di Junbai, and was about to walk out of the washroom. Brother, Tang Bao is crying, Di Junbai said. It has something to do with you? Di Haotian looked at him sharply. I hope you can reconcile, Di Junbai said. I don't need you to be nosy. Di Haotian turned around and left with a gloomy face. Di Haotian walked into the venue of the party. His dark eyes looked around, but he didn't see Tang Bao. He walked up and said, Young master, young madam has left. Di Haotian's expression was cold. He didn't say anything, but no one dared to get close to him. Tang Bao didn't even say anything to Wan Malay. She got into the car and left. The car drove out for a long time. The light from the street lamps shone in, and there was a thick layer of mist in her eyes. What did he want to do before he gave up? Wasn't it enough for her to see the intimacy between him and Lan Wanru at the cocktail party? Tang Bao felt a sharp pain in her heart. It was so painful that she shed tears. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to hold on at the banquet and would run away. Presumably, Lan Wanru would be very pleased to see this, right? But she couldn't care less. When he reached home and returned to his room, his phone rang. He did not bring his Tang Bao cell phone with him. As soon as he entered the room, the phone on the bedside table rang. He didn't know how long it had been ringing. Since he could not see the caller ID clearly, Tang Bao answered the call directly. Wan Malay's voice was heard. Where are you? Why didn't I see you in the bathroom? I'm going home. Ah? You're going back so early? Wan Malay was stunned and asked. I'm sleepy. I want to sleep early. Are you okay? I'm fine. Wan Malay didn't ask again. In fact, even if she didn't ask, she knew why he was going back so early. Even she was angry when she saw Lan Wanru at the cocktail party. Why did he keep following Di Haotian? He was too shameless. Didn't he know that he was a married man? At this moment, Wan Malay saw Di Haotian walking towards the entrance of the cocktail party, followed by his bodyguards. Did he mean that he was leaving? Wan Malay followed him out and saw Di Haotian's car leaving. It seemed that he didn't want to stay at the cocktail party either? He didn't take Lan Wanru away either. What kind of plot was this? She couldn't understand it. Young master, are you going back to the castle? Hiju asked. There was a long silence in the car. It was so long that she thought that he wouldn't speak again. Di Haotian said expressionlessly, Bar. Hiju didn't say anything. Actually, it wasn't surprising. Ever since his relationship with Tang Bao became like this, the young master would go to the bar every day and return to the castle very late. In the bar, Gu Linshan turned to the door of the private room. He looked at the person drinking alone in the private room and walked in. He sat down on the sofa and said, I heard that you've been coming here to drink every day recently? Aren't you afraid that they won't be able to supply you with alcohol? Then don't open it, Di Haotian said without raising his head. I'm just afraid that they won't dare. Gu Linshan looked at Di Haotian and shook his head. No one would believe that you get drunk every day for a woman. Di Haotian drank all the alcohol in his glass and leaned back lazily. He lit a cigarette and took a deep breath. The smoke immediately filled the air. It was sexy and charming. Who told you that I'm doing this for a woman? Di Haotian said expressionlessly. Isn't that so? Gu Linshan smiled faintly. Aren't the two of you living separately? Di Haotian raised his dark eyes and looked at Gu Linshan opposite him. The more he looked at him, the more he found him to be an eyesore. Since you know that, why don't you find me a woman? Gu Linshan was surprised. Are you serious? Yes. Gu Linshan's lips curled up. That's easy. I want the one in your house. Gu Linshan's smile froze. His eyes were cold. She's not good enough. As long as she doesn't lack any body parts. Don't you see that she's so ugly? Gu Linshan's expression was already very bad. Don't you know that I have a strong taste? At this moment, the door of the private room was pushed open. Luoluali stuck her head in and saw Gu Linshan inside. Her eyes immediately lit up. Little uncle, you're really here? She then walked in. Gu Linshan was stunned. He immediately stood up and pulled her away without a word. Di Haotian had a cigarette in his mouth. His head was leaning against the back of the sofa and his eyes were closed as he let the cigarette burn. Luoluali was pulled all the way out of the bar. Her wrists hurt when they were released. She rubbed her wrists and looked at Gu Linshan, who looked very bad. Little uncle, what's wrong? Who told you to come to the bar? Gu Linshan looked at her coldly. I heard that you were at the bar, so I came to look for you. Luoluali did not feel that she had done anything wrong. Little uncle, did you come to the bar to drink? Don't you have alcohol at home? Why did you come here? What if you get drunk? I didn't come to the bar to drink. Gu Linshan looked at her coldly. Then what are you here for? To look for a woman. Get in the car. Gu Linshan suppressed his growl. Luoluali saw that Gu Linshan was not to be trifled with, so she had no choice but to get in the car obediently. After getting in the car, she sat down obediently. After Gu Linshan got in, the car drove away from the bar. Chapter 372. Gu Linshan looked at Luoluali with his deep eyes. He did not look like a beautiful woman at all. Di Haotian was looking for trouble. This made Gu Linshan feel very gloomy. Luoluali felt goosebumps all over her body when Gu Linshan looked at her, but she did not dare to say anything. Go back after the exam, Gu Linshan ordered. Why? I don't want to go back. Luoluali was unhappy when she heard this. Is it up to you? Gu Linshan's face was cold. It was as if there was no room for negotiation. Luo Luoli panicked and immediately sat down beside Gu Linshan. "Little uncle, sit back down." Gu Linshan frowned. Luo Luoli had no choice but to sit back down. "Little uncle, why do you want me to go back? I'm living well here. I haven't caused you any trouble. I haven't spent any of the money you gave me. What do you want to do if you don't go back for the new year?" If she did not go back for the new year, she would definitely not go back on normal days. "Little uncle, I beg you. Don't make me go back, okay? I'll go back after the new year, okay?" Luo Luoli said. "You'll go back after the new year? Don't try to be smart in front of me." Gu Linshan looked at her coldly. Luo Luoli, who had been exposed, bit her lip. If her face had not been so yellow, one would have been able to see the redness on her face. "Little uncle, I'll do anything you want me to do. Just don't send me back, okay?" Gu Linshan looked at Luo Luoli's teary eyes and felt frustrated. He did not say anything, but Luo Luoli definitely could not stay with him for long. Not only did he have to send her back, but he also had to keep her away from him forever. Luo Luoli did not know if her little uncle would send her back. There was a depressing silence in the car. After getting out of the car, Gu Linshan didn't look any better, so Luo Luoli didn't ask any more questions. After going to school for a month, she didn't get close to anyone in the school. The boys thought she was ugly and the girls thought she was a freak. Anyway, she could hear people saying that she was a freak every day. Those who couldn't stand it would even frame her. They either put disgusting bugs in her bag or put glue on her seat. At first, Luo Luoli would still fall for it, but later on, it would not. It was better to be vigilant, but it couldn't be avoided completely. After school, Luo Luoli waited for the school bus at the school gate. There were quite a lot of people on the school bus, including other students. People were pointing at her from behind, but Luo Luoli pretended not to hear them. A girl behind her screamed as cold liquid sprayed onto Luo Luoli's face. Luo Luoli was shocked. She raised her hand to wipe it, only to find that it was milk. Not only was there milk on her face, but also on her body. The girl who spilled milk on her didn't apologize. Instead, she laughed and joked with the other girls. Luo Luoli was expressionless. She didn't question them and continued to stand there waiting for the school bus. However, a black luxury car was parked not far from the school gate. Gu Linshan watched everything coldly from inside. Luo Luoli could see that these girls were pranking her, and she thought that they would stop after one prank. She didn't know if they thought that waiting for the school bus was too boring, or if they thought that Luo Luoli was easy to bully. The girls started to play without restraint. Then, one of the girls poked Luo Luoli's waist with the tip of her umbrella. Ouch! Luo Luoli frowned in pain and covered her waist with her hand. She turned to look at the girls behind her. The girls asked arrogantly, "What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a beauty before? Ugly. Are you bullying me because I'm ugly?" Luo Luoli asked. "Did we bully you? Which eye of yours saw it?" Luo Luoli didn't speak. "I'm asking you which eye of yours saw it? Say something." The leader of the girls was especially arrogant. She pushed Luo Luoli with her hand. Luo Luoli was pushed back 2 steps, but she didn't fight back. "Look at your ugly face. How can you be in the same class as us? I'm not in the mood to study just looking at you." The girl with the umbrella poked Luo Luoli's stomach again. However, before the tip of the umbrella could reach her, it was suddenly grabbed by a large hand. Gu Linshan's face was cold. He pulled the umbrella back from the girl's hand and viciously whipped it at the girl. The girl screamed and fell to the ground, motionless. The other girls were frightened. Before they could react, Gu Linshan whipped the umbrella in his hand one by one. In a few seconds, all the girls had fainted on the ground. Luo Luoli was stunned. She looked at Gu Linshan in disbelief. Little uncle." Gu Linshan threw the umbrella in his hand and looked at Luo Luoli. The coldness in his eyes was so clear. Luo Luoli swallowed all the words she wanted to say. Luo Luoli got into the car, her 2 hands placed obediently by her side. The scenery outside the car kept moving backward. Lualuali occasionally looked at the scenery and at Gu Linshan's gloomy face. "Are you an idiot?" "I'm not an idiot," Lualuali said. "If you're not an idiot, why didn't you fight back when you were hit?" Gu Linshan was furious when he saw the scene just now. He wanted to pry open Lualuali's brain and see what was inside. "Didn't little uncle say not to cause trouble?" She lowered her voice because of Gu Linshan's terrifying gaze. "I told you not to cause trouble, but I didn't tell you not to fight back. What are you afraid of? If anything happens, I'll take care of it." "Then, even if I cause trouble, little uncle won't send me back, right?" Lualuali asked immediately. Gu Linshan's cold eyes were stunned. "You didn't fight back because you were afraid that I'd send you back?" Lualuali pursed her lips and nodded. Gu Linshan tugged at his collar. It was obvious that he was annoyed at the moment. He had never been so annoyed before. Lualuali saw that Gu Linshan's expression did not improve and asked carefully, "Little uncle, you won't send me back, right? I didn't cause trouble." Gu Linshan looked at her coldly. It was frightening. Lualuali immediately looked away and stopped asking. On the way back, Lualuali was still thinking about the girls who had been hit by her little uncle. Would things get worse tomorrow? Sure enough, things would get worse. After class, Lualuali walked out of the classroom and went to the washroom. After using the washroom, she returned to the classroom. Just as she reached the classroom door, one of the girls who had been hit yesterday pointed at Lualuali and said, "Dad, it was her. She ordered people to hit me. There were other girls who were hit too." "Yes, uncle. It was Lualuali who ordered people to hit us." Lualuali looked at the girls who were pointing at her and then at the middle-aged man next to them. Were they calling her parents? The middle-aged man walked in front of Lualuali and blocked her with his fat body. He asked fiercely, "Did you order people to hit my daughter?" Chapter 373. She couldn't beat the middle-aged man in front of her. Misunderstanding? Zhang Chao went home with a big bruise on the back of his neck. Zhang Chao's father pulled Zhang Chao's sweater off. Lualuali saw a big bruise on the side of Zhang Chao's neck. It was slightly swollen, as if his neck would break if he used a little more force. Lualuali was shocked. She didn't expect her youngest uncle to be so heavy-handed. That was true. At that time, her uncle's strength had frightened her. But seeing the injury with her own eyes still made her panic. "Me too. Me too." The other girls didn't call their parents, but someone stood up. They were definitely going to deal with Lualuali together. Zhang Chao's father reached out and patted Lualuali's head. "Did you call them?" Lualuali's expression changed. But what if she couldn't beat the adults? Just as Lualuali was about to explain the cause of the incident, her eyes moved slightly. She saw Gu Linshan walking over with a group of unfriendly subordinates behind him. A dark aura swept over them. Lualuali had a bad feeling. The others were also shocked by this aura. Which hand touched her? Gu Linshan stood still and looked over with a cold gaze. Zhang Chao's father found himself speechless. Even his hand was numb from the shock. "This one?" Gu Linshan ordered fiercely. "Break it." Lualuali hadn't recovered from her shock when she heard a pitiful cry. She looked again and saw Zhang Chao's father's hand dangling there like a broken branch. Gu Linshan looked at the man in pain as if he was looking at grass and said, "I was the one who hit you yesterday. Now you can settle the score with me." "Dad." Zhang Chao was also frightened. His face was pale and he stood there, unable to move. He could only cry out like that. The principal heard the commotion and hurried over. He looked as frightened as the student. "Young Master Gu." Gu Linshan looked at him coldly. "Are you tired of being the principal?" "I'm sorry, young Master Gu. It was my mistake. I won't do it again." The principal's forehead started to sweat. "My niece is being bullied here. How can I not care?" Gu Linshan said matter-of-factly. The smile in his black eyes was especially chilling. Yes, yes, yes. I will expel these people immediately, the principal hurriedly promised. There's no need to expel me. I'm not that unreasonable. Before Gu Linshan could finish his sentence, his eyes darkened. However, if my niece loses even a strand of hair, I will break someone's hand. Let me see how many hands they have. Gu Linshan was clearly trying to intimidate him. But others still had to go along with him. They didn't dare to disobey. Luoluali was still standing there in a daze even after the others had dispersed in fear. Gu Linshan turned to look at her. His black eyes narrowed slightly. Luoluali ignored him and threw herself at Gu Linshan. She crashed into his strong arms and hugged him tightly. Gu Linshan was stunned. His eyes were even more stunned. After recovering from his shock, he pushed Luoluali away roughly. His eyes were gloomy. What are you doing? Luoluali, who was pushed away roughly, didn't feel uncomfortable at all. She wasn't afraid of Gu Linshan's gaze. With a cautious expression on her face, she asked, "Little uncle, do you admit that I'm your niece?" Gu Linshan's gloomy expression froze. "Little uncle is my family now. I'm so happy. Then I can tell others that I have a very powerful little uncle in the future," Luoluali said happily. Gu Linshan's expression changed. "I don't have a niece as stupid as you. I'm not stupid. I can't beat that man just now. Also, if anyone bullies me in the future, I'll just say that I'm little uncle. That's all." "You're quite good at making use of people," Gu Linshan said unhappily. Luoluali smiled charmingly. "Little uncle, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I have to go back to class." She turned and ran, but stopped after a few steps. She met Gu Linshan's deep, dark eyes and said, "The only thing I've decided to do is to look for little uncle." After saying this, she ran away. Gu Linshan looked at her cheerful figure and seemed to be infected. The corners of his mouth lifted. Then, when he realized what he was doing, his expression turned ugly again. Luoluali definitely couldn't stay here for too long. She had to go back to school eventually. The next day, Luoluali arrived at the classroom and found that Zhang Chao was no longer there. She heard the discussions of her classmates and found out that they had transferred schools. Luoluali thought that since her little uncle said that there was no need to expel them, then he definitely wouldn't expel them. It seemed that she had scared them away. Ever since her little uncle went to school, no one dared to bully her. There were even students who tried to curry favor with him. Luoluali felt that this was better than not bullying her at all. Luoluali quickly won her exams. She did well. This was all thanks to her little uncle. Although her little uncle's expression was a little ugly, his temper was a little bad, his gaze was a little scary, and his aura was a little gloomy, he was still very good. After all, her little uncle was the reason why she was able to handle things so well. Luoluali ran out of the school gates and saw a familiar black car waiting outside. A happy smile immediately appeared on her face and she ran up. After the bodyguard opened the door, she got in. "Little uncle." Gu Linshan sat lazily inside, his gaze sharp. "Did you do well?" Luoluali was stunned for a moment and shook her head honestly. "I don't know." "If you don't know, then why are you smiling so happily?" Gu Linshan frowned. "That's because I saw little uncle. That's why I'm happy." Luoluali spoke honestly. Gu Linshan's deep eyes were slightly stunned. Under Luoluali's clear and trusting gaze, he looked away. He looked out the window. "Little uncle, did you specially come to pick me up? Aren't you busy?" Luoluali asked. "I'm taking you to buy clothes." Why do you want to buy clothes?" Luoluali asked blankly. "To celebrate the new year." "So you want to buy new clothes for the new year?" Luoluali nodded in understanding. After getting out of the car, Gu Linshan took Luoluali to shop in the mall. Luoluali had the youthful exuberance of a young girl from head to toe. She looked at this one moment and touched that the next. Even if she had money on her, she wouldn't go to such a high-end mall to buy things. She had never been here before. So she was full of curiosity. Gu Linshan didn't care about her and let her do whatever she wanted. Chapter 374. Which part of your body isn't my money? Gu Linshan stared at her with his dark eyes. Luo rubbed her nose and went to pick out the clothes. It didn't take long for her to pick out an outfit. When he came out of the fitting room, Gu Linshan's eyes froze for a moment, but his expression didn't change. Little uncle, do I look good? Luo skipped over to Gu Linshan and asked. Gu Linshan said to the salesperson, I'll take this one. The salesperson blushed and went to settle the bill in front of such a cold and noble man. Little uncle, why is she blushing? Luo asked in confusion. Gu Linshan's expression was cold. Luo immediately stopped talking. She felt that her little uncle was really unpredictable. After removing the tags from the new clothes, she put them on. Then she left the women's clothing store. Gu Linshan glanced at the shoes on Luo's feet and took her to the shoe store. Luo was still looking at all kinds of beautiful shoes when Gu Linshan glanced at them and chose a pair for her. Luo didn't expect her little uncle to choose shoes for her. She accepted it no matter what. However, she found that the shoes looked especially good on her feet and matched the clothes on her body. Luo felt that her little uncle was really good to her today. It made her feel very happy. However, the price of the clothes and shoes really made her speechless. Even if she had $1 million, she wouldn't buy clothes that were too expensive. However, her little uncle didn't even blink. He was really rich. Little uncle, can we go back now? Luo asked. Let's go eat. Eat outside? Yes, Gu Linshan replied indifferently. Luo didn't care. As long as she ate with her little uncle, she could eat anywhere. When the door of the private room opened, Luo, who was walking in, stopped in her tracks. The smile on his face turned into surprise. He looked at the middle-aged woman sitting inside and called out, Mom? Luo stood up and looked at her daughter, whom she hadn't seen for a long time. Apart from the fact that her face and head were still the same, she could tell what kind of life she was living with just by looking at her clothes and shoes. She heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Gu Linshan with gratitude and guilt. Thank you. I've troubled you. You don't have to thank me. Gu Linshan pulled out a chair and sat down expressionlessly. Luo stiffly sat down on the chair. Can you go back now that you're done being willful? I don't know what you're throwing a tantrum for, but Mama is very worried about you at home. Do you know that? Luo said angrily and distressed. Luo looked up at Luo and asked, Are you here to take me back? Yes. What did it look like to stay at little uncle's place all the time? Linshan, have you settled the matter of transferring to another school? Gu Linshan nodded. Luo looked at Gu Linshan in disbelief. She saw something in those deep black eyes that made her heart turn cold. She was wondering why her youngest uncle was suddenly so nice to her, and even accompanied her to buy clothes. It turned out that he wanted to send her away. He didn't even tell her and couldn't wait for her to leave. Linshan, Dad. Is your dad okay? Luo realized that she had misspoken and immediately corrected herself. He seems to be fine. Gu Linshan's gaze was deep. He wanted to reach for a cigarette, but when he touched it, he let go. That's good. You didn't tell your dad about Luo, right? No. Luo smiled and nodded. Her expression was unnatural. She used to be a member of the Gu family, but because of her willfulness, she ended up like this. She was too ashamed to have anything to do with the Gu family. If it weren't for Luo, she would never have been associated with the wealthy Gu family. The dishes were served quickly. When Luo was eating, Luo put some food in her bowl. Luo ate silently and didn't say anything. Luo and Gu Linshan weren't very close. When she left the Gu family, Gu Linshan was still young. Later, she heard some rumors about Gu Linshan, saying that he was very cruel. She didn't expect that Luo would accept him for so long. However, this didn't mean that her relationship with Gu Linshan had improved. Therefore, the atmosphere at the dining table was very oppressive. Gu Linshan didn't say anything either. The aura around him was very cold and calm. It was until they finished eating and left. When they reached the door, Luo Luoli was about to get into a taxi, but Luo Meiwan stopped her. "Say hi to youngest uncle." "How can you not say anything?" Luo Luoli's back stiffened. After a few seconds, she turned around hesitantly and met Gu Linshan's deep black eyes. "Thank you for taking care of me during this time, youngest uncle." Gu Linshan didn't say anything. He just looked at her with his deep eyes. After Luo Luoli finished speaking, she turned around and got into the taxi. She didn't look at Gu Linshan again. "Linshan, thank you so much. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to bring her back." Luo Meiwan finished speaking. Seeing that Gu Linshan didn't say anything, she guessed that he didn't want to say anything more. She turned around and got into the taxi. After the taxi drove out, Luo Luoli didn't turn back to look at Gu Linshan. Her eyes were filled with tears, but she held them back. "Luo Luoli, don't you want to go back with Mommy?" Luo Meiwan saw that Luo Luoli kept looking out of the car window and knew that she was angry. "I'm old enough to live alone," Luo Luoli said. "Don't be stubborn. You're not even 18 years old. How can you live alone? Do you have to make Mommy worry? Mommy only has you." Luo Meiwan sighed. "Don't you still have your husband? Why am I the only one left? Or did you divorce him?" Luo Luoli turned around and asked. "Of course not. I'm living well with him. He's good to me and to you. Why did you divorce him? I just don't know why you don't like him." Luo Luoli turned her face away. Her expression was very ugly. "It's my freedom to not like him." Okay. If you don't like him, then forget it. You'll understand in the future. But don't be angry with him in front of Mommy. Mommy is very difficult." Luo Meiwan didn't know how to educate this child. Based on her temper with Gu Linshan, she couldn't be more patient than her, right? "You've been living with your uncle for a while. Has he been good to you?" "Not bad." Luo Luoli wanted to say that he had been good, but when she thought about Gu Linshan's behavior, she changed her mind. "That's good. Don't come over in the future." "Your uncle." Luo Luoli looked at Luo Meiwan, who wanted to say something but stopped. She asked, "What's wrong with him?" "Nothing." Luo Meiwan stroked Luo Luoli's afro. "It's good that you're back." Luo Luoli didn't think it was good at all. They took a few bus transfers before they reached home. Their family was poor and lived in an ordinary neighborhood. No, this wasn't her home. It was that man's home. Chapter 375. Why aren't you walking? Luo Meiwan asked. "I want to go to the supermarket outside to buy some food," Luo Luoli said. "I'll go with you." "No need. It's just outside. I'll be back soon." "You go up first," Luo Luoli said. Luo Meiwan didn't have any doubts and said, "Then come back quickly after you buy it." "I know." Luo Luoli looked at Luo Meiwan, who was tricked by her, and her heart ached. It wasn't that she didn't want to go back, but she really didn't want to hurt her mother's heart. When Luo Meiwan disappeared in the corridor, Luo Luoli turned around and ran out of the community in a hurry. Luo Meiwan entered the house. Inside, Chen Xuejing was cooking. Knowing that Luo Luoli was coming back today, he cooked a lot of her favorite dishes. Hearing the noise, Chen Xuejing hurried out of the kitchen, but only saw Luo Meiwan alone. He asked, "Where's Loli?" "She's back. She's outside the community buying food," Luo Meiwan said. However, Chen Xuejing's face immediately changed. He threw his apron on the ground. "How can you let her buy food alone? What does it matter if she goes to the supermarket?" "Xuejing, where are you going?" Luo Meiwan saw Chen Xuejing run out. He didn't know what was going on and could only chase after him. After walking around the supermarket, he didn't see Luo Luoli's figure. Luo Meiwan was puzzled. "Where's Loli? Didn't she buy food here?" "You still have the nerve to ask?" "She ran away." Chern Shuejing shouted at Luo Meiwan in a bad temper. What? Why did she run away? I already brought her back. We're already at the door. Luo Meiwan didn't understand why Luo Luoli ran away. Did she not want to stay at home that much? Tell me, what kind of parent are you? You can't even look after a child. In the eyes of outsiders, they would think that Chern Shuejing was the biological parent of the missing child, and Luo Meiwan was just a stepmother. Because Chern Shuejing was even more anxious than Luo Meiwan. She must have gone to her uncle's place again. I'll make a call, Luo Meiwan said and took out his phone. At this moment, Gu Linshan had just arrived at the mansion. He didn't look too good, and his whole body was as cold as ice. No one dared to approach him. When he entered the living room, he pulled at his collar in annoyance and threw his jacket on the sofa. Seeing this, the servant immediately took the suit away and put it away respectfully. Now it was quiet. Gu Linshan did not have the patience to take care of his child every day. Just as he thought so, his phone rang. Gu Linshan frowned when he saw the number. She answered, "What's the matter?" "Linshan, did Lolita look for you?" "No, if she's looking for you now, she shouldn't be here so soon." "Linshan, if she goes to your place, can you ask her to give me a call? I want to bring her back." Luo Meijuan's voice came from the other end. "She ran away again?" Gu Linshan's eyes were very cold. "Yes." When she was at the door, she suddenly said that she wanted to buy food. I didn't think too much about it and let her go. But when I went to the supermarket to look for her, she wasn't there. She didn't pick up either. I really don't know what to do. Luo Meiwan did not know what to do with Luo Luoli. Gu Linshan hung up the phone with a gloomy face and called Luo Luoli directly. However, Luo Luoli did not pick up his call either. No one dared to not pick up his call. Therefore, Gu Linshan's aura became even colder. The point was that Gu Linshan only called once, but now he had called several times. He did not even pick up a single call. Gu Linshan did not believe that Luo Luoli could not see his call. Luo Luoli did see it. Looking at the number, she was stunned but did not want to pick it up. She huddled alone in the corner of the street, holding the phone and muttering to herself, "Why did you call me? Didn't you not want me? Why do you care so much?" Luo Luoli looked at the caller ID. "Little uncle." The more she looked at it, the angrier she became. Hearing the ringtone, she became even angrier. She simply turned off the phone. Gu Linshan's face was so dark that he almost smashed the phone when he heard the robotic female voice in his ear. That terrifying aura made the servants feel that it was too close, no matter how far away they were. Gu Linshan's expression was cold. Luo Luoli definitely would not come to his place. If she came, she would not pick up the phone. Gu Linshan thought that maybe she was afraid that he would stop her from coming over, so she wanted to stay here and talk to him. Therefore, Gu Linshan just waited. His irritation was very obvious. He did not dare to take a deep breath. 2 hours later, Luo Luoli still did not appear. Based on the distance, it should not take so long. Gu Linshan called again, but the phone was still turned off. Gu Linshan's expression was extremely ugly. Luo Luoli obviously did not want to contact anyone. Damn it, if he found her, he would teach her a lesson. Come with me to find her. Gu Linshan found someone to check the traffic surveillance. He found that Luo Luoli did not return to D-City. Therefore, he went to the city where Luo Luoli was and used the power in his hands to check the traffic surveillance. However, he found that Luo Luoli had gone to another city. Gu Linshan brought his men and went there. Along the way, Gu Linshan's expression was tense. He did not believe that he could not find her. The longer it took to find her, the uglier Gu Linshan's expression became. He wished that he could tear Luo Luoli apart and swallow her alive. The sky gradually darkened. Luo Luoli did not go to a hotel or motel. Her money was all given to her by Gu Linshan. He did not want her anymore, so why should she spend his money? Although Luo Luoli was poor, she was stubborn sometimes. If she said she did not need it, then she did not need it, Anyway, when she was a beggar, she used to sleep under the bridge. Finding a nest to sleep in was not a problem. Luo-Luoli walked along the street corner and rummaged through the trash, trying to find a blanket for herself. It would be easier if it was summer. However, it was winter. If she did not cover herself with a blanket, she would freeze to death. While Luo-Luoli was rummaging through the trash, 3 young men walked over with their arms around each other's shoulders. When they passed by Luo-Luoli, one of them looked up and down at Luo-Luoli's body with a perverted gaze. Then, he stopped walking. Luo-Luoli was shocked. She turned her face from the trash can. This turn of events shocked the 3 young men. Because of Luo-Luoli's ugly face. Oh my God, where did this high-quality product come from? Just looking at her makes me lose my appetite. As the young man beside her spoke, he spat to the side with a disgusted expression. She is indeed ugly, but her body is not bad. Little girl, how old are you? Luo-Luoli saw that they did not look like good people, so she turned to leave. However, her path was blocked. Don't go. You haven't answered my question. Chapter 376. Didn't you just say that I'm ugly? Why don't you let me go? Luo-Luoli asked one of them. But my brother is interested in you. I have to help him. The man said hooliganly. Luo-Luoli knew very well what this person meant by help. But what should she do? With 3 people surrounding her, would she be able to escape? Police. Luo-Luoli turned her eyes and pointed to the front. When the 3 people looked over, Luo-Luoli ran away. The 3 people realized that she was lying to them. When they came back to their senses, they saw Luo-Luoli running away and chased after her. How dare you lie to us? Chase after her. Luo-Luoli heard the footsteps behind her and was scared out of her wit. She ran with all her might. She felt that her whole chest was beating in panic. But no matter how fast she ran, she couldn't outrun 3 adult men. Soon, the road ahead was blocked. Run, why aren't you running? You'd better let me go, or else. Luo-Luoli wanted to threaten them. Or else what? The young men smiled wretchedly, as if they didn't care at all. Or else I'll call the police. This was a society ruled by law. Luo-Luoli still had some hope in her heart. She hoped that these people would be scared away. But not only did they not scare them, she even made them laugh. You say call the police now. When you feel better later, you'll beg us to f***ck you. Luo-Luoli listened to their filthy words and her face changed. She was disgusted. Just when she was helpless and didn't know what to do, those people directly went up to her and grabbed her. Let's go, little girl. Big brother will make you happy. Let go. Luo-Luoli struggled, but she couldn't break free from them. When she saw a man and a woman passing by, she screamed for help. Help me, help me! Not only did the man and woman not save her, but they also left quickly. Luo-Luoli's heart turned cold. Why didn't they help her? Luo-Luoli was dragged into a small alley with no one coming and going. There was a dustbin not far away, and there was a sour smell coming from it. But no matter what, nothing could compare to the fear in Luo-Luoli's heart. She fell to the ground and looked at the young man who was taking off his pants as he approached her. He moved back in fright. She didn't understand why she was targeted even though her face was so ugly. That's right, the young man from before said that her figure was not bad. So, she shouldn't be dressed like this, right? She had always dressed like this when she was with Gu Linshan, and nothing had happened. Now that I've left, it's like this? She didn't want it. When the man's evil claws reached over, Luo-Luoli was so scared that she closed her eyes and screamed, "Ah!" Just as she screamed, she heard another scream that was even more miserable than hers. It wasn't just one sound, but several. It seemed to be those young men. Moreover, her body did not feel like it was being touched. She wondered what was going on. Luo-Luoli opened her eyes nervously. He saw 3 young men lying on the ground, vomiting blood and groaning in pain. Then, he saw 2 long legs in front of him. They were straight and strong. Luo-Luoli was stunned. She looked up suddenly and saw Gu Linshan's cold face. He was looking down at her from above. Luo-Luoli looked at him in disbelief. Little uncle? That's not right. Why was her little uncle here? This wasn't D-City. They had left D-City in the afternoon. Why was her little uncle here? Luo-Luoli wondered if she was dreaming. However, she looked at the three miserable young men on the ground. Weren't they her little uncle's vicious methods? How long are you going to sit on the ground? Do you want me to carry you up? Gu Linshan's voice was even colder than the weather. Luo-Luoli came back to her senses. Her face was stiff. She got up from the ground. She paused for a moment, then turned and ran. Gu Linshan's face darkened. He was in a bad mood after searching for the person for the whole day. Luo-Luoli didn't admit her mistake. Instead, she wanted to run. He rushed forward and grabbed Luo-Luoli by the collar as if he was holding a chicken. Ah! Luo-Luoli couldn't run away. You're not running anymore? I can't run away with you holding me, Luo-Luoli retorted. Gu Linshan threw Luo-Luoli into the car with an ugly expression. Luo-Luoli lost her balance. Her little mouth almost made intimate contact with the seat. People used to say that men didn't hit women. However, after what happened at school last time, Luo-Luoli realized that this saying was wrong. Her little uncle hit a girl like he was hitting a man. He didn't show any mercy at all. It was too scary. He wouldn't hit her like that one day, right? Therefore, when Gu Linshan got into the car, she shrank by the door. She looked at Gu Linshan's gloomy face and asked, "Little uncle, you're not going to hit me, are you?" "Yes." The car drove out steadily. Gu Linshan looked at her expressionlessly. "Why don't you go home?" Luo-Luoli pursed her lips and didn't speak. "Didn't you hear what I said?" Gu Linshan frowned. "Didn't I tell you a long time ago? I don't want to go back." "Why? There's no reason. I just don't want to go back." Luo-Luoli turned her face away and looked at the night scenery outside the car window. Gu Linshan ran his fingers through his neat hair in annoyance. He had never been so irritable before. She was so willful not to go home. She would rather wander outside. If he hadn't arrived in time, he didn't dare to think about what would have happened next. Thinking of this, Gu Linshan's face darkened. "Little uncle, don't worry. Even if I don't go back, I won't trouble you." Luo-Luoli saw Gu Linshan's cold face and didn't speak, so she carefully assured him. Gu Linshan looked at Luo-Luoli sternly. Luo-Luoli immediately turned her face away. "I'll send you back." Luo-Luoli was stunned and then panicked. "I don't want to go back." "It's not up to you." Luo-Luoli was frightened by Gu Linshan. Her face turned pale. Gu Linshan narrowed his eyes and watched Luo-Luoli's reaction. He was just sending her home. Why was she so frightened? He wanted to know what would happen if he sent Luo-Luoli back. Luo-Luoli didn't look at Gu Linshan. She just stared blankly out of the car window. She wasn't familiar with this route, but she knew that it was because they hadn't reached her city yet. If they reached her city, would he really send her home? Luo-Luoli felt her whole body stiffen. Her two hands kept pinching the edge of the seat. She wanted to dig out a piece of the leather. The car came to a stop very quickly. Luo-Luoli looked out of the car window. It seemed like they hadn't left the city yet. It had only been 10 minutes. Chapter 377. Luo-Luoli felt a little itchy. However, she managed to hold it in. After all, her youngest uncle was helping her disinfect the wound out of goodwill. She could not show any signs of rejection. Gu Linshan naturally felt it, and his heart skipped a beat. He did not show it on his face, but his eyes were dark. "Youngest uncle, are you done?" Luo-Luoli could not help but ask. She felt that she could not hold it in any longer. Gu Linshan raised his sharp eyes and looked at Luo-Luoli. Her eyes were already overflowing with a thin layer of mist. Gu Linshan let go of her hand. Luo-Luoli heaved a sigh of relief. However, after disinfecting her wound with the disinfectant towel, Gu Linshan still had to apply medicine on her wound. "Ah, it hurts," Luololi felt as if she had experienced two extremes of ice and fire. One moment it was itchy and the next moment it hurt. Youngest uncle, please be gentler. Her voice was soft and timid. Gu Linshan felt his heart clench. His expression turned ugly. Shut up. Luololi immediately bit her lower lip with her teeth. She knew it in her heart. She had been like this every time she applied medicine. Her youngest uncle's expression had always been the same. She did not want to provoke her youngest uncle like this, but she could not help but feel the pain. Didn't you hear the doctor say that I have to apply force every time? Gu Linshan asked coldly. Of course, Luololi had heard it. However, hearing it was one thing, but the pain was real. Looking at her youngest uncle's unfriendly expression, Luololi could only endure it. When he applied medicine on her wound again, she would either grit her teeth or take a deep breath. No matter what, her youngest uncle's expression was extremely ugly after applying the medicine. It was hard to understand his temper. Luololi thought that her youngest uncle was unwilling to apply medicine on her wound. After she tucked her feet under the blanket, she said, "Youngest uncle, I can apply medicine on my own from now on. It won't hurt if you do it on your own, right?" Luololi did not understand what he meant. However, it did not seem to be wrong. Just as she was about to nod her head, Gu Linshan's voice immediately deepened. "What's the point of not hurting?" Luololi did not say anything. She timidly looked at her youngest uncle's ugly expression. Then, her youngest uncle turned around and walked out. Luololi pouted. She felt that her youngest uncle's temper was unusually hard to deal with. She just did not want her youngest uncle to put in the effort of applying medicine. She was just being kind. When it was almost time for dinner, the phone beside her rang. Luololi took the phone and looked at the caller ID. She picked up the call. "Mom. I'm already home, but your uncle isn't back yet. He didn't answer my calls. Where do you think he went?" Luo Meiwan asked. Luololi did not want to talk about anything related to Chen Xuejing. However, since Luo Meiwan was so nervous, she could only comfort her mother first. "Did he go somewhere else?" "Don't worry, he won't go anywhere. That's his home. Where else can he go if not home?" Luololi said nonchalantly. "All right then, I'll wait a little longer. Really, he came back on his own and made me rush home alone. When I got home, my family wasn't there. I really can't stand him. It's okay, just rest well. Don't get out of bed if there's nothing important, okay?" "I know. Also, try not to cause trouble for your little uncle if you can." "I know." If she said that, her mother wouldn't feel so guilty, right? After hanging up the phone, Luololi was a little dazed. Perhaps the Gu family didn't like her mother, but in her heart, her mother was the most important. No one could compare to her. It was also because of this that she chose not to make a sound despite being humiliated so greatly. Luololi hoped that her mother could have a better and happier life after marrying a man like that. However, thinking back, Chen Xuejing didn't go back. Where did he go? Luololi didn't doubt her little uncle's words at all. However, after dinner, Luo Meiwan called again and said that Chen Xuejing still hadn't come back. Luololi didn't care whether Chen Xuejing came back or not. She was more concerned about how anxious her mother would be when she was home alone. Therefore, she wanted to ask her little uncle when he came to the room. However, after waiting for a long time, a servant came in. The servant came in and asked, "Miss, do you need anything else?" "No, I don't." "Is my little uncle home?" "Yes, Mr. Gu is here." "Then can you help me call little uncle? I need to talk to him." "Yes." Not long after the servant left, Gu Linshan came in. He had a cold expression on his face. Why did he feel like he could be summoned at his beck and call? "What is it?" "Little uncle, you said that the man went home alone, but my mother called to tell me that he hasn't come home yet. Are you that worried?" Gu Linshan asked coldly. The whole room turned cold. "Of course not. I'm worried about my mother." Luololi didn't know what her little uncle was upset about. What are you worried about? If he can't go home, he might be killed on the way, Gu Linshan said casually. Luololi was shocked by her little uncle's cruel words. Sleep early. Gu Linshan took Luololi's phone away and left the room. Luololi wanted to ask why he took her phone when it was hers. However, the words were stuck in her throat and she didn't say them until her little uncle left the room. She still didn't dare to when Luololi woke up in the morning. She finished her breakfast. Just as she was about to reach for her phone, she realized that it wasn't there. Feeling bored, she leaned against the headboard. There was no television in the bedroom. Gu Linshan walked in and saw that Luololi's eyes were darting around. She looked very bored. Expressionlessly, he threw the phone at her. Thank you, little uncle. Luololi took the phone. She felt that life would be very lonely without a phone. Chen Xuejing is dead, Gu Linshan suddenly said. Luololi was stunned. She raised her head and looked at Gu Linshan in confusion. What? He was killed on the way home. His body has been found. Luololi stood there in a daze for a long time. He was really dead? Little uncle, why are you so amazing? You said he was killed on the way home and he really was killed. Luololi couldn't digest the information. That was the end of that disgusting man. Isn't it better that he's dead? Chapter 378. However, at this moment, Gu Linshan appeared in the bedroom and looked at her darkly. Try to get out of bed. Luololi was confused. She only understood her uncle's intention when she saw her injured ankle. He was a little fierce. Uncle, why am I here? Luololi asked after she came back to her senses. If you don't like it, I can send you back now, Gu Linshan said indifferently. No. Luololi hurriedly rejected him. She thought of something and asked again, But uncle, you don't like me living here, right? I don't have to live here. Uncle, I'll live on campus. Most of the students in the school live in the school. If you say another word, you can go back. Gu Linshan's expression was frighteningly cold. Luololi shrank her neck. She muttered in her heart, why did her uncle change his expression so suddenly? Did she say something wrong? She didn't seem to have said anything. Wasn't it better for her uncle to live on campus? Bring it in, Gu Linshan ordered. Luololi looked up and saw breakfast being brought in. The servant placed the small dining table on the bed in front of her. This kind of service made Luololi a little uncomfortable. She had never been treated like this before. She looked at Gu Linshan. She wanted to say that there was no need for this, and that she could go downstairs to eat breakfast. However, when she met Gu Linshan's deep and cold eyes, Luololi swallowed her words. She didn't dare to speak. She picked up her spoon and ate her breakfast obediently. Gu Linshan saw that she was well behaved and turned to leave. As Luololi ate, a smile appeared on her face. Actually, her uncle wasn't that bad. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let her live here, right? After finishing her breakfast, Luololi sat on the bed in a daze. After thinking for a while, she took out her phone and called Luo Meiwan. After dialing the number, the call was quickly connected. Mom, Loli, where are you? Luo Meiwan's anxious voice sounded. I'm with little uncle, Luololi said. Luo Meiwan breathed a sigh of relief. Loli, how many times have I told you not to bother your uncle? How could you run off again? Besides, it's almost the new year. It's not good for you to be like this. Little uncle said that I can stay here. He said that? Luo Meiwan was surprised. She knew Gu Linshan's temper very well. To be honest, she was still a little worried about Luololi following Gu Linshan. Mom, you don't have to worry about me. I'll be fine here. I'll study hard. If you miss me, or if I miss you, you can come here to see me, can't you? Luololi said. But if that's the case. Luo Meiwan still wanted to say something, but the phone was snatched away by the anxious Chen Xuejing. Loli, listen to your mom. Don't live in someone else's house. That's not. Luololi's face immediately became flustered when she heard that voice. She immediately hung up the phone. Hello? Loli? Loli? Chen Xuejing called out twice. When he looked again, the call was already over. Chen Xuejing's face was filled with anger. He stuffed the phone back to Luo Meiwan. Forget it. Don't be angry. If she wants to live here, then let her. I'll bring her back after the new year. Luo Meiwan still wanted to let Luo Loli have her way. What are you talking about? Didn't you say that your brother, who isn't related by blood, isn't someone to be trifled with? You're not worried about leaving Loli there? Are you even her biological mother? Chen Xuejing got angry when he heard that. I don't want to either. But look at Loli's reaction. I know you want to get closer to her, but this kind of thing should be done slowly. Luo Meiwan felt that Chen Xuejing was too agitated. However, it was very precious to find a man who treated her daughter well. She felt more or less gratified. I know we should take it slowly. But if we don't go home and live in someone else's house, what will people think of us? Those who don't know better will think that I can't tolerate her. Then what should we do? Luo Meiwan asked. Chen Xuejing paced back and forth. When he stopped, he had an idea. The two of us will go and bring her back personally. Luo Meiwan had always listened to her husband, so she didn't think that Chen Xuejing's words were wrong. She thought that if the two of them went to pick her up, Luo Luoli would be touched and come back. So, the two of them took a car and went over. It was almost noon when they arrived. Gu Linshan was answering a call in the living room. It was about business. He was about to go out and didn't want to eat at home. At this moment, the servant walked over. She stood by the side and waited for Gu Linshan to finish the call. After Gu Linshan finished the call, he threw his phone aside. Young Master Gu, Miss Luo's parents are here. They said they want to bring Miss Luo home. Gu Linshan's dark eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the servant. His sharp gaze made the servant lower her head. Let them in. Yes. After a while, Chen Xuejing and Luo Meiwan walked in. Gu Linshan's gaze fell on the middle-aged man beside Luo Meiwan. His invisible gaze made people not dare to act rashly. Chen Xuejing had never met a man with such a sharp gaze. He gave people a noble aura that couldn't be disobeyed. It was so cold that it was eerie. Linshan, sorry to trouble you. I didn't know that Loli would come back. Xuejing and I are here to bring her home, Luo Meiwan said. Xuejing is my current husband. Gu Linshan retracted his gaze. Have a seat. Chen Xuejing and Luo Meiwan sat down on the sofa. The luxurious life was far away from Luo Meiwan. She didn't expect Gu Linshan's residence to be even more luxurious than the Gu family's. The private space was especially big. From the moment she entered the door, she felt that it was very strict. The servant poured tea for them. Chen Xuejing said with a smile on his face, I'm really sorry to trouble you. I thought that it's almost the new year, so I can't always trouble you. I'm really sorry. Gu Linshan's face was expressionless. He had an unfathomable aura. Do you think she will go back with you? Gu Linshan asked lightly. Well, Chen Xuejing was stunned and didn't know what to say. Luo Meiwan also looked very embarrassed. Meiwan and I will persuade her. As long as she comes home, she can have anything she wants, Chen Xuejing said. In fact, it wasn't easy for the so-called stepfather to go to this extent. Usually, stepfathers wouldn't care about the children brought by their wives. Not only did Chen Xuejing care, but he also took care of it. Luo Luoli's foot was injured. She leaned against the sofa and played with her phone. Her range of movement was between the bed and the sofa. Anyway, she couldn't jump around. Otherwise, if her uncle saw her, she would be in trouble. Just as she was lazily playing with her phone on the sofa and sunbathing in the sun, the door was pushed open. Chapter 379. Luo Luoli had a smile on her face and was about to call out to them. But when she saw who the two people behind her were, the smile on her face froze. Even though her face was dark yellow, her paleness could be seen clearly. Gu Linshan saw the change in Luoluali's face. His dark eyes were deep, but he did not say anything. Lowly, why did you run over to your uncle's place again? This is not good. Dad and Mom are here to take you home. Chen Xuejing was very emotional when he saw Luoluali. Luoluali gripped the phone in her hand so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She did not even look at Gu Linshan's face. Was he going to send her back again? Luoluali did not say a word. She lowered her head and looked down. Luali, why aren't you saying anything? Come back with Mom? Luo Meiwan did not know how to persuade her. Why was this child so stubborn? If Gu Linshan was her biological uncle, it would have been fine. But this was not the case. Luo Meiwan walked forward and looked at Luoluali with distress and anxiety. Luoluali's eyes flashed with guilt, but she still did not say anything. That's right, Luoli. Since your mother and I came all the way here to pick you up, why don't you come back with us? Chen Xuejing also approached Luoluali. However, as soon as he got close, Luoluali sensitively stood up and wanted to leave. She looked flustered and uneasy. But she forgot about her foot injury and her foot landed on the ground. Gu Linshan, who saw all this, went forward and hugged Luoluali, letting her land on his chest steadily. Luo Meiwan and Chen Xuejing only then noticed Luoluali's injured foot. Luali, what's wrong with your foot? Chen Xuejing was even more anxious than Luo Meiwan and rushed forward to take a look. Luoluali was so frightened that she hugged Gu Linshan tightly and clung to him. It's none of your business. Get out of my way. Even if she knew that her uncle was going to send her away again. But in times of danger, she still sought her uncle's protection. Otherwise, she wouldn't know how to avoid danger. Gu Linshan carried Luoluali in one arm. His expression was cold, and his dark eyes were filled with hostility as he looked at them. Since you came all the way here, you should rest here for 2 days. This is how I treat my guests. Luoluali looked up at Gu Linshan in disbelief. The jawline that was so close to her was so hard and cold. She did not know why her uncle wanted them to stay here. Shouldn't she leave with them immediately? Or should he stay here for a couple of days before sending her away? What was her little uncle thinking? Didn't he know that she didn't want to go back? How can I accept that? We're here to bring Lolita back, Chen Xuejing said. However, Gu Linshan did not seem to hear him. She then instructed the servant, go and arrange a room. Please come with me, said the servant. Chen Xuejing and Luo Meiwan had no choice but to follow the servant. After they left, Luoluali's tense nerves finally loosened. She realized that she had been hugging Gu Linshan all this time. She immediately let go and sat down on the sofa. Luoluali lowered her head and did not say a word. Gu Linshan could only see her exploding hair. What's the matter? Aren't you happy that I asked them to stay for 2 days? They shouldn't stay here. Luoluali raised her head. Her eyes were filled with tears. Gu Linshan's dark eyes moved slightly. Little uncle, didn't you say that you wanted me to stay here? Why are you doing this again? I already said that I would stay at school, but you insisted that I stay here. Now that I'm staying here, you're asking them to pick me up. What do you mean by this? Luoluali said agitatedly. Her tears fell. She wiped them away forcefully with the back of her hand. I said that they could stay here. Did I say that you could leave? Gu Linshan asked coldly. Luoluali was stunned. Didn't you say that you wanted to send me away? Then why are they here? And they said that they wanted to take me back. Did I agree to that? Luoluali stared blankly. From the moment she entered the room, she did not hear Gu Linshan say that he wanted to send her back. Did he not? Was it not what she thought it was? But there's no need for them to stay here. Luoluali still had a lot of opinions in her heart. It's my freedom to let anyone stay in my place. Gu Linshan finished speaking. He glanced at her coldly and turned to leave the room. Luoluali retracted her gaze in a daze. Her little uncle was right. This was his place. She had no right to say who stayed here. But no matter who stayed here, she should not let someone she did not like stay here. She wanted to stay for 2 more days. Luo-Luoli did not want to stay under the same roof as them for even a second. Luo-Luoli looked at her feet. She thought that it was a good thing that she was injured and could not walk around. She did not have to worry about running into them, right? Could she ask her little uncle to stop them from coming to her room? But when she thought of her little uncle's expression just now, she felt that he would not speak up for her. During dinner, Luo-Luoli ate in her room. Before going to bed at night, Luo-Meiwan went to Luo-Luoli's room. Luo-Luoli saw that Luo-Meiwan was the only one who came in. Her tense body immediately relaxed. "Luoli, this is your room? No wonder you want to stay here. Anyone else would want to stay in such a good room. Just this room is bigger than our house." Luo-Meiwan said enviously. "Why are you looking for me?" Luo-Luoli still hoped that Luo-Meiwan was not here. She was afraid that Chen Xuejing would follow them. "Although the mansion is big, we don't dare to walk around. Your father is in his room, so I came to see you. Don't you want to see your mother?" Luo-Meiwan asked reproachfully. When Luo-Luoli heard the word father, her expression turned ugly. "My father died a long time ago. He is not my father. So disgusting." Okay. Uncle, okay? Luo-Meiwan knew that her daughter was in the rebellious period of her youth. She did not say much and went along with her. But how could she know that Luo-Luoli was not willing to call Chen Xuejing uncle even if she wanted to? She did not want to look at that kind of person. She was so disgusted that she wanted to vomit. "Luoli, do you really not want to go back? Let me tell you, it is not good to keep living here. Even if he is your biological uncle, people will gossip if you keep living here. Not to mention that Gu Linchen is not your biological uncle. If he is not my biological uncle, then why did you tell me before? Also, I will not keep living here. I will move away. I can work outside and support myself." Luoli. Luo-Meiwan still wanted to persuade her. "Don't say any more. I don't want to hear it." Luo-Luoli impatiently interrupted her. "Okay, I won't say any more. Tell me, what happened to your foot? Did you sprain it?" Chapter 380. Luo-Meiwan looked at her daughter. She felt that she was sensible, but at the same time, she couldn't understand her. She stayed in the room with her for a while before leaving. In Luo-Luoli's heart, although it wasn't good to do this and would hurt Luo-Meiwan's feelings, what else could she do other than alienating her? Absolutely nothing. After a day, other than the servants and Gu Linchen, no one else appeared in Luo-Luoli's room. Luo-Meiwan didn't appear. But even so, it didn't mean that she could sit back and relax. She calculated in her heart that Chen Xuejing and Luo-Meiwan still had 1 more day to go. "What do you mean by that brother of yours? Can we take Loli back tomorrow?" Chen Xuejing asked Luo-Meiwan anxiously in the room. "I don't know about that. Go and ask. We can't let Loli stay here for 2 days and not let her go back, right? This is someone else's house. It's not good for her to stay here forever." After hearing Chen Xuejing's words, Luo-Meiwan's original intention of letting Luo-Luoli stay here was shaken again. Coupled with Chen Xuejing's urging, she had no choice but to say, "Then I'll go and ask." Luo-Meiwan walked out of the room and saw Gu Linchen standing in the living room. He was buttoning his cufflinks with his head lowered. "Linchen, are you going out?" Luo-Meiwan asked cautiously. "Yes. Do you need something?" Gu Linchen looked at her. "I just wanted to ask if Loli can come with us when we go back tomorrow. Is that something I can decide?" "It's up to Loli to decide. If she wants to go back, she can go back. If she doesn't want to go back, she can stay here. There are many rooms here anyway. It doesn't matter if she stays here. I won't be coming back tonight. Tell Loli." "Okay." Gu Linchen looked up and saw Chen Xuejing standing not too far away. He glanced at him coldly and turned to leave the mansion. Chen Xuejing stepped forward and asked Luo-Meiwan, "What does he mean by this? It depends on whether Lolita is willing to go back or not. I don't think Lolita is willing to go back. What should we do if Lolita doesn't want to? Luo Meiwan sighed. Chen Xuejing's expression changed, hiding an abnormal luster. After Luo Luoli finished her dinner, she leaned against the headboard and played with her phone. In the end, it was just a game. At this moment, the door opened and someone walked in. Luo Luoli looked up and saw Luo Meiwan and Chen Xuejing. Luo Luoli sat up nervously and defensively. She angrily said to Chen Xuejing, "Who let you in? Get out." "Loli, what are you talking about? How can you speak to your uncle like that?" Luo Meiwan felt that Luo Luoli was overreacting. After all, he was an elder, so he couldn't be so rude. "It's fine if you come, but why did you ask him to come to my room?" Luo Luoli was furious. "Lolita, don't be angry. Your mother and I are here to persuade you to go back, because we're going back tomorrow." Chen Xuejing wasn't angry and had a smile on his face. "Look at how good your uncle is to you. He's afraid that you'll be alone outside for the new year, so he insisted that I come to take you back. Don't throw a tantrum." "I said I'm not going back, so I'm not going back." Luo Luoli was angry. Seeing this, Chen Xuejing pulled Luo Meiwan out. "What are you doing? Go to the supermarket and buy something that Lolita likes to eat. Maybe she'll be willing to go back after you coax her." Chen Xuejing said. "Then you'll stay here and watch over her?" Luo Meiwan didn't suspect anything and asked. "Why would I need to watch over her? It's so safe here. Nothing will happen to Lolita." "That's true." After saying this, Luo Meiwan left. Chen Xuejing once again returned to the room. Before returning to the room, he deliberately looked around. When he saw that only the servants were around, he flashed into Luo Luoli's room. Luo Luoli was just wondering if they had left when she saw Chen Xuejing come in alone. Luo Luoli's entire body was filled with fear. "Where's my mother? You made a fuss and didn't want to go back, so your mother went to buy something for you," Chen Xuejing said with a smile on his face. "Get out," Luo Luoli fiercely ordered. Chen Xuejing didn't move. He was still smiling and even sat down on the edge of the bed. Luo Luoli was so scared that her whole body shrank back. "Who allowed you to sit on my bed? Get lost. Lolita, my precious daughter, why are you so agitated? Uncle is here to take you home." The smile on Chen Xuejing's face became vulgar. "I won't go home with you. Give up. Lolita, do you think that I won't be able to find you if you hide here? I advise you to obediently go home with me. Look at you. You've made your beautiful little face look like this. Uncle's heart aches to see you like this." Luo Luoli saw Chen Xuejing and ran away in fear. "However, Lolita, Uncle likes you so much. Uncle can buy you anything you want. Why are you so disobedient?" Tears overflowed from the corners of her eyes. Luo Luoli was so scared that she broke down and cried. Suddenly, a hellish voice came from behind. Chen Xuejing was stunned. Before he could react, he was dragged down in the next second. Chen Xuejing fell to the ground. Gu Linshan's foot stepped directly on his neck. The black leather shoes with hard soles were like a sharp weapon placed on Chen Xuejing's neck. Luo Luoli huddled by the bed. Her eyes were hazy with tears. She was scared out of her wit. "Get under the blanket and cover your head." Gu Linshan looked at her and ordered. Luo Luoli didn't know what to do. At this moment, when she saw Gu Linshan, it was as if she saw her savior. She would do whatever he told her to do. She got under the blanket and covered her head with it. "Spare me. I didn't do anything." Chen Xuejing was scared out of his wit. He didn't expect Gu Linshan to come back. Didn't he say that he wouldn't come back tonight? Gu Linshan didn't say anything. The black leather shoes on his neck loosened. Chapter 381. Gu Linshan smiled cruelly. He grabbed Chen Xuejing's neck and pulled him back. Chen Xuejing only had time to groan before his upper body was pulled to the back. Chen Xuejing's body was in an abnormal position. His upper body was broken, and his eyes were wide open. It was obvious that Chen Xuejing was dead. Gu Linshan waved his hand indifferently. The bodyguards walked in and took Chen Xuejing's body out. There was no trace of blood on the carpet. It was clean and there was no trace left. Gu Linshan walked to the edge of the bed and sat down. Luo Luoli trembled in fear. She thought it was Chen Xuejing and trembled under the blanket. "He's gone," Gu Linshan said. Luo Luoli hesitated and pulled the blanket away, revealing her eyes. She looked around and didn't see Chen Xuejing. Where is he?" Luo Luoli asked in a trembling voice. "He's gone." "Did he go back?" Luo Luoli asked again. Gu Linshan didn't answer her question. He only asked, "You didn't want to go back because of him?" Luo Luoli's expression changed. She lowered her gaze and didn't speak. "You have to speak when I ask you a question." Luo Luoli glanced at Gu Linshan timidly. She lowered her gaze and nodded after a while. "He came to my room when I was sleeping." Gu Linshan's face darkened when he thought of that scene. It was too easy for him to die so easily. He should die in pain. "Does your mother know?" Gu Linshan was prepared to send Luo Meiwan to hell if she knew. Luo Luoli shook her head. "No. Why didn't you tell your mother? Did you become mute after something like this happened?" Gu Linshan's expression was ugly. Did she know how to protect herself? She didn't even know how long that man had been bullying Luo Luoli. "I didn't want my mom to be sad, so I didn't tell her, but I know how to protect myself." "Your way of protecting yourself is to run outside?" Luo Luoli pursed her lips and remained silent. She had no other choice. "He won't appear in front of you again." Gu Linshan looked at her frightened expression and restrained his sinister tone. "Uncle, do you mean that I can stay here forever?" Luo Luoli asked hopefully. Gu Linshan looked at her clear eyes and said, "You don't have to go back in the future. Just stay here." "Long live little uncle." Luo Luoli's face immediately lit up, but she accidentally pulled her foot. Gu Linshan's eyes darkened. He took out her injured leg and looked at it. Luo Luoli looked at Gu Linshan's face and felt a little scared. She said, "It's okay. I was just scratched. It won't hurt if I don't touch it." "He scratched you?" Gu Linshan asked. "Uh-huh." Luo Luoli nodded. Gu Linshan's face was dark. He stood up without a word and left. Luo Luoli was stunned. Was her little uncle angry again? Even though her little uncle was angry, she was still very grateful that he had chased Gu Linshan away. Otherwise, Chen Xuejing would have been in a terrible situation. Of course, Luo Luoli didn't know that Gu Linshan had already dealt with Chen Xuejing. She thought that he had just left. Fortunately, her little uncle said that she could stay here in the future. That meant she didn't have to go back. Gu Linshan went downstairs and saw Luo Meiwan just as he walked down the stairs. She was carrying a big bag of snacks for Luo Luoli. Gu Linshan looked calm as he said, "Your husband went back?" To him, killing a person was as insignificant as killing a mouse. Luo Meiwan was surprised. He left? Alone?" "Uh-huh. Then Loli. I'll take care of Loli from now on." Gu Linshan didn't look too good when he looked at Luo Meiwan, who asked her to not even protect her own daughter well and to think that her husband was a good person. A woman like her who didn't have the right to be a parent. If it weren't for the fact that she really cared about Luo Luoli, he wouldn't even look her in the eye. "Will that be too much trouble for you?" Luo Meiwan asked. "You're considered a member of the Gu family. Loli is my niece. There's no trouble with me," Gu Linshan said casually. "I'm not considered a member of the Gu family. Hearing you say that, I only feel ashamed." "I'm sorry, Dad." Luo Meiwan felt that she had lost her composure and immediately recovered her emotions. "Since she insists on staying here, then I won't take her back. Xuejing has left, so I won't stay here either. I'll give Loli something and let her know." Luo Meiwan entered the room and put the food aside. He sat on the edge of the bed and touched Luo Luoli's little hand. "Are you sure you want to stay here?" I'm sure. Sometimes I wonder if I did something wrong for you to be so rebellious. If I did, I want to change. No, you didn't do anything wrong. It's my own problem. Even at this time, Luo still didn't want to tell her about what Chen Shuejing had done to her. Mom, is that man really good to you? Let's live. I used to chase after love, but it didn't end well in the end. Now that I've settled down, I don't want to think about anything else. Then I'll watch you grow up and wait for you to get married and have children. I have no other regrets. Luo Meiwan said. Mom, do you want to go back to the Gu family? If you want to go back, I can think of a way. Luo thought that after returning to the Gu family, her mother wouldn't need to follow that kind of man. Luo Meijuan's face changed immediately. Don't ever think about that. Why? Luo asked in confusion. I was just an adopted daughter at that time, and I did such a shameful thing to the Gu family. I don't have the face to go back. Just stay here with your uncle and don't care about the Gu family. Do you understand? Luo saw Luo Meijuan's serious expression and didn't say anything more. She nodded in agreement. But she didn't think so in her heart. She couldn't let her mother spend the rest of her life with that kind of disgusting man. After Luo Meiwan left, Luo felt a little sad, but she also felt at ease because she could stay. She thought that what she did was for the good of everyone. Luo, who was in a daze, felt the aura of someone walking in. She came back to her senses and saw Gu Linshan, who was close to the bed. Gu Linshan sat down on the edge of the bed, pulled out Luo's feet, and wiped Luo's ankles with the square towel in his hand. Luo's nose twitched. Wasn't this the smell of disinfectant? Chapter 382. Luo felt a little itchy. But she still held it in. After all, her uncle was kind enough to disinfect her. She couldn't show any signs of repulsion. Gu Linshan naturally felt it and his heart skipped a beat. He didn't show any expression on his face, but his eyes were very dark. Uncle, are you done? Luo couldn't help but ask. She felt that she couldn't hold it in any longer. Gu Linshan raised his sharp eyes and looked at Luo. A thin layer of mist had already formed in her eyes. Gu Linshan let go of her hand. Luo breathed a sigh of relief. However, after disinfecting her with the disinfectant towel, Gu Linshan still had to apply medicine on her. It hurts. Luo felt as if she had experienced ice and fire in a while. One moment it was itchy, the next it was painful. Little uncle, be gentler, her soft and timid voice sounded. Gu Linshan felt his heart tighten. His expression immediately turned ugly. Shut up. Luo immediately bit her lip with her teeth. She knew in her heart. She was like this every time he applied medicine. And her uncle's expression had always been ugly. She didn't want to provoke her uncle like this, but she couldn't help being in pain. Didn't you hear the doctor say that you have to use force every time you apply medicine? Gu Linshan asked with a cold gaze. Luo naturally heard it. But hearing it was one thing, but the pain was real. Looking at her uncle's unfriendly gaze, Luo could only endure it. When he applied medicine for her again, he either gritted his teeth or took deep breath. Anyway, no matter what, after applying medicine, her uncle's expression was especially ugly. She felt that his temper was very unpredictable. Luo thought that her uncle was unwilling to apply medicine for her. After tucking her feet under the blanket, she said, "Uncle, I can apply medicine myself in the future. It won't hurt if you do it yourself, right?" Luo did not understand. However, it seemed that there was nothing wrong with it. Just as she was about to nod, Gu Linshan's voice immediately deepened. "What's the point of not feeling pain?" Luo didn't say anything. She looked timidly at her uncle's ugly expression. Then, her uncle turned around and left. Luo pouted. She felt that her little uncle's temper was really hard to deal with. She didn't want little uncle to put in the effort to apply the ointment. She was just being kind. When it was almost time for dinner, the phone beside him rang. Lualuali picked up the phone. When she saw the caller ID, she answered the call. Mom. I'm already home, but your uncle hasn't come back yet. He didn't answer his phone. Where do you think he went? Luo Meiwan asked. Lualuali didn't want to talk about anything related to Chen Xuejing. However, since Luo Meiwan was so nervous, she could only comfort her mother first. Did he go somewhere else? Don't worry. He won't go anywhere. This is his home. Where else can he go? Lualuali said carelessly. Okay then. I'll wait a little longer. Seriously, he came back by himself and made me rush home alone. When I got home, my family wasn't there. I really can't stand him. It's okay. Have a good rest. Don't get out of bed if there's nothing important, okay? Okay. Also, try not to cause trouble for your little uncle if you can. I know. That way, her mother wouldn't feel so guilty in her heart, right? After hanging up the phone, Lualuali was a little dazed. Maybe the Gu family didn't like her mother, but in her heart, her mother was the most important. No one could compare to her. It was also because of this that she chose to remain silent after suffering such a great humiliation. After marrying such a man, Lualuali hoped that her mother could have a better life. However, when she thought about it, where did Chen Xuejing go? Lualuali didn't doubt her little uncle's words. However, after dinner, Luo Meiwan called again and said that Chen Xuejing still hadn't come back. Lualuali didn't care whether Chen Xuejing came home or not. She cared more about her mother's anxiety when she was alone at home. Therefore, she wanted to ask her little uncle when he came to the room. However, after waiting for a long time, a servant came in. The servant came in and asked, Miss, do you need anything else? No. Is my little uncle at home? Young Master Gu is here. Then can you help me call little uncle? I have something to ask him. Okay. Not long after the servant left, Gu Linshan came in. His face was cold. Why did he feel that he was at her beck and call? What's the matter? Little uncle, you said that the man went home alone, but my mother called and said that he hasn't come home yet. Are you that worried? Gu Linshan asked coldly. The whole room turned cold. Of course not. I'm worried about my mother. Lualuali didn't know why her little uncle was unhappy. What are you worried about? If she can't go home, she might be killed on the way, Gu Linshan said casually. Lualuali was shocked by her little uncle's cruel words. Sleep early. Gu Linshan took Lualuali's phone and left the room. Lualuali wanted to say that the phone was hers and why did he take it. However, the words were stuck in her throat and she didn't say it until her little uncle left. She didn't dare to when she woke up in the morning. Lualuali finished her breakfast. She was about to reach for her phone when she realized that it wasn't there. She leaned against the headboard in boredom. There was no television in the bedroom. Gu Linshan walked in and saw Lualuali rolling her eyes in boredom. He threw the phone to her expressionlessly. Thank you, little uncle. Lualuali took the phone in her hand. She felt that life would be very lonely without her phone. Chen Xuejing is dead, Gu Linshan suddenly said. Lualuali was stunned. She looked up at Gu Linshan with a blank face. What? He was killed on the way home. His body has been found. Loli Luo stood there in a daze for a long time, unable to react. He was really dead? Little uncle, why are you so amazing? You said that he was killed on the way home, and he really was killed. Lualuali couldn't digest the news. That kind of disgusting man actually had such an ending. Isn't it better that he's dead? Chapter 383. Got it. I've told her that she'll move here once things are settled. Even though Gu Linshan knew that Luo Meiwan would be upset, he could not let that kind of man stay. Move here? But my mom, she doesn't have a house here. Where is she staying? Lualuali asked. I'll make the arrangements for her. You don't have to worry about it. Gu Linshan's expression was indifferent. This. Won't this be too troublesome for you, little uncle? Gu Linshan's expression turned ferocious when he heard this. If you know it's troublesome, you should have stayed away from me from the start. Gu Linshan turned and left with a gloomy face. Luoluali felt a little guilty. It was not the first time she had troubled her little uncle. However, when she thought about the dead Chen Xuejing, it still felt like a dream. She asked herself, was Chen Xuejing, who did those disgusting things to her, really dead? Did that mean that she would not have to be afraid of anything in the future? But when she was with her mother, she would have nothing to worry about. At the Tang residence, Tang Bao sat by the window of his room on the second floor. He rested his chin on the windowsill and breathed in the fresh air outside. He looked at the withered branches and occasionally saw a few sparrows flying by. He felt that he could not do anything without going to the office. His gaze fell on the pink diamond on her ring finger. His heart ached and he felt a little suffocated. She and Di Haotian had both become like this. The pink diamond was still so eye-catching. His heart ached even more as he looked at it. The more Tang Bao looked at it, the more he could not stand it. He reached out and wanted to pull it off. He pulled it forcefully. His fingers hurt, but it did not budge. It was the same as before. What was going on? Would she have to wear it for the rest of her life? But Di Haotian was so heartless to her. Why would she still wear it? It was like a joke. Just as she was thinking of a way to pull the pink diamond off, the phone on the bedside table rang. Tang Bao stood up and answered the call. Who is this? Hey, can you change your phone? It's that person who calls you every time. Wan Malay's unhappy voice came through the phone. Don't you need money to change your phone? Tang Bao answered the phone while sitting by the window again. You can keep digging. Wan Malay changed the topic. By the way, my parents have been talking about you. They want to know when you'll come to my house to play. I'll go visit them during the new year. Tang Bao, are you still in the Tang family? The young master, didn't he come looking for you? Wan Malay didn't want Tang Bao to be sad. However, dragging things on like this was not a solution. It made him feel very uncomfortable. Why is he looking for me? With Lan Wanru by your side, will you still remember me? Tang Bao suppressed the bitterness in his heart and asked sarcastically. How about this? Since you're alone now, why don't you come to my house for the new year? Wan Malay didn't know what to say. However, it was too sad to let Tang Bao celebrate the new year alone. No, I'll accompany my father. Tang Bao refused. Wan Malay wanted to say that his father was celebrating the new year there. Why would he accompany him? However, she was afraid that Tang Bao would be unhappy, so she didn't continue this topic. After the call ended, Tang Bao looked at the diamond ring on her ring finger again. Then, she went out. Tang Bao wandered to the street where she ran away from her marriage and wanted to sell diamond rings. He wanted to find the shop that cheated her. However, he couldn't find it. However, the old man who was shining shoes on the street looked a little familiar. Tang Bao leaned closer and looked at the haggard old man. He said, Are you twins with that pawnshop owner? The two of you look alike. It's you? The old man who was shining shoes couldn't believe it. Tang Bao couldn't believe it even more. You know me? Of course I know you. The depraved pawnshop owner had a deep impression of that priceless pink diamond. When he looked at Tang Bao's finger again, the diamond ring was still on it. When he looked at it again, it almost blinded his eyes. At that time, when those people came over and took away his diamond ring, he knew that he had offended someone. Someone who could wear such an expensive diamond ring was definitely not an ordinary person. He could only blame himself for being blind and blinded by greed. That was why he had harmed himself. Tang Bao understood. You're the pawnshop owner? Why are you shining shoes? Changing your profession? What can I change? I offended you guys and I can't survive anymore. If I don't shine shoes, I won't even be able to eat, the depraved pawnshop owner said dejectedly. Tang Bao thought to himself, You've offended the king of D City. Of course, you won't be able to survive. With Di Haotian's ruthlessness, It's already good enough that you have a student who shines shoes for you. Tang Bao abandoned his previous experience of being cheated by the pawnshop owner. He squatted down, stretched out his slender white finger, and asked, "Back then, you said that this was worthless and you cheated me. Now you know how much it's worth, right?" The depraved pawnshop owner looked a little guilty and stammered, "You're not the only one I cheated." Tang Bao shook his head. "You deserve to shine shoes." "Then don't you think there's something strange about this ring of mine?" Tang Bao's purpose in striking up a conversation with him was not to settle scores. "Can you not show off your ring in front of me? I know it's worth a lot. Even if you pawn it here, I don't have that much money. Just leave." The depraved pawnshop owner felt as if his heart had been stabbed. The corner of Tang Bao's mouth twitched. When did she show off? Was he blind? Was this what she called showing off? "I can't take off my ring. If you help me take it off, I'll give you 50,000. Tang Bao did not care about his attitude and said, "Yes, that 50,000 was earned from the pawnshop owner at that time." The depraved pawnshop owner was so angry that he glared at him. "Are you playing with me? I'm doing business. Can you stop fooling around? I'm telling you the truth. I really can't take it off." Tang Bao broke down and pulled at the pawnshop owner, but the ring just could not be taken off. "Look, you can't take it off, right?" The depraved pawnshop owner saw it with his own eyes. It seemed like he could not take it off? "Is that true? So? Help me take it off, I'll give you 50,000. "Really 50,000? You won't turn your back on me after I take it off for you, right?" For the depraved pawnshop owner, forget 50,000, even 50,000 was the money he needed to shine 50 pairs of shoes. Not to mention 50,000. In the past, 50,000 was already enough for him. Now that he was depraved, 50,000 was an astronomical figure. However, the depraved pawnshop owner immediately thought of something and said, "That 50,000 was originally mine." Oh, he realized. If I don't give it to you, are you going to snatch it from me?" "No." The depraved pawnshop owner shook his head. "Then take it off from me. I'll give you the money after you take it." The depraved pawnshop owner could only look at the ring. As he looked at it, his attention was attracted by the pink diamond on the ring. His eyes were filled with love and greed. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.